Hello, my name is Marcus. I'm the compiler of a collection of therapy quotes entitled 1001's Windmills of the Mind, a collection of advanced self-help quotes taken from what's often called the psychodynamic or the psychoanalytic perspective, which long ago, as I understand, was referred to by some as philosophical medicine or narrative medicine, helping us to fight the good fight. In the news this morning, there's a musical announcement that Ann Wilson's sister, her famous sister Nancy Wilson, did a cover. Just today or yesterday, put out a cover of Triumph's the song "Fight the Good Fight." Pitiful, miserable. I can't listen to it. Oh my God, I cringed. I nothing against her personally, but that was pretty bad. And the other covers that Triumph is putting out with other famous people, it's also pretty bad. The only person who has ever done a half-decent cover of a Triumph song is this one here in the background that you're hearing. Alyona Yaroshina covering "Lay It on the Line." But anyways, let's just take a peek. I'm not really a huge fan of that song. I have mixed feelings about it. Little over mixed messages for sure, I think. But anyways, the positive side of that song is as follows, I think. Okay, so I think probably maybe anyways, let's highlight the positive side of that song, "Fight the Good Fight." You're so afraid of being honest with yourself. You'd better take a look inside yourself or inside your head. He says head here, meaning yourself. Again, you're so afraid of being honest with yourself, you'd better take a look inside your head. He means your psyche, your mind, inside yourself. Actually, you could say, look inside yourself. He didn't want to repeat yourself, right? Well, he didn't want to repeat himself, right? You're so afraid of being honest with yourself, you'd better take a look inside your head. Okay, fight the good fight. That's fighting the good fight. So fighting the good fight means self-reflection, introspection, looking within. Okay, fighting the good fight means discerning what's going on. Every day seems much harder telling right from wrong. You've got to read between the lines. Okay, and fight the good fight like that. So be a true seeker for yourself. What are your authentic feelings versus your sham defensive reaction to your defensive needs? Can you discern between neurotic needs, defensive needs, and symbolic needs that are in response because your real needs are unknown to you, your authentic needs are unknown to you? Due to trauma, we don't know the loss of the chance to realize that our authentic needs were not met. Can we discern that? So when real needs are not met, okay, we grab for symbolic needs. Let's turn that apart. That's the only. Yeah, I said it already. That's the best cover of "Lay It on the Line," and also the best Triumph cover. That one there. I don't know why. I think they should just invite her to do the whole album of Triumph tribute songs. So the classic rock band Triumph, they're in the middle of trying to put out some kind of tribute covers, getting other people to do covers of their songs. So somebody else did "Lay It on the Line" recently. Oh my God! I please stop. No, it was terrible. And likewise with "Fight the Good Fight," and another one was also terrible. I think they put out 3 or 4 so far. They were all miserable. I don't know why. I don't know why he's got such a blind spot, or why he feels the need to lie to himself. He's not being honest to himself. Ironically, yeah, the guy, he's not even following his own lyrics. He's not even being honest here with himself. If he really believes these are excellent covers, he's not being honest. He's just doing some kind of marketing thing, promoting his music or something. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea what he's trying to do. Maybe it's a sense of preserving a legacy or something. I don't know what he's doing, but he's not being honest. to say that those covers that recently came out are excellent songs, amazing, incredible songs. Oh my God, no one can listen to them. Now, people who know Nancy Wilson might tolerate listening to it in the beginning. You're familiar with the song, you're curious, you know, so you might tolerate for a little while, and then, oh my God, stop, enough. I don't usually talk about the musical things too much here, but we do have an incredible soundtrack to accompany 1000 Windmills of the Mind. Okay, we have 10,000 quotes from the analytic psychodynamic or dynamic or depth psychology. It just simply means some kind of statement, some kind of verbal statement that acknowledges and that makes an attempt to bring the unconscious to conscious. So you've got a pattern in your life. When did it begin? And to see yourself engaged in an example of it. A repetition compulsion. When there's trauma, we repeat in an attempt for memory and feeling. So we repeat, it's all symbolic, interpret it as a communication of what happened in the past which we don't remember. Okay, transference of depictions. Okay, because of the pain, we transfer the past to the present, recreate the past and the present, hoping to, as if magically we can change the past, undo the past, get the love that we should have received in the past, but nobody in the present is your mother in the past. But that part of the brain that's pushing this doesn't know time, so it doesn't realize that. So in the present, we just do something like symbolic, so we can make the inference of what happened in the past. Okay, anything about like projection, something you don't know about yourself. It's too embarrassing, it's too shameful, maybe you feel too hard to know, too painful to know. It goes against your neurotic pride, it goes against your defensive self, it goes against the tenuous identity that you're making like that. But any kind of truth, so the truth seeking, back to the song here, be honest with yourself. A lot of the honesty of ourselves is repressed, unknown to us. So we project it. We say it's outwardly like that. Okay? So something you don't know about yourself, okay, we attribute it to someone else, and that's like creating a mirror or a projection on a screen to know what's with them. Projection is the means of bringing repressed material to your consciousness. Okay? So that's the analytic idea, that we all make the unconscious conscious. So you look at your projections. So very often things you're saying about others, first things first, see if you're talking about yourself. Because if you can't believe it, not everything you say is a projection, but many of the things we say are often in an attempt to make us aware that we're talking about ourselves. Okay, look inside yourself. Okay, you're so afraid of being honest with yourself. Okay, so we're afraid to make the unconscious conscious, because that's betraying the script, betraying the traumatic script. The traumatic script is the tie in the loyalty bond to the mother. That's why we're so afraid, because we're afraid to break free from the mother. Okay, we're afraid to be on our own. We never got mother's love originally to have that sense of beingness, to be on our own. We never had the experience of mother soothing us, seeing us, recognizing us, accepting us, nurturing us, letting us feel safe to blossom and let our emerging self, our budding beauty, be a part of us. She squashed it early on. So we're afraid to know any of this. And due to attachment theory, we got to have a link to the mother. No baby can make it on their own, so the only way to have a link to the mother is to be traumatic. I mean, it's to be dysfunctional. Dysfunction is, dysfunction, it's pretty loud around here. I don't know how well you can hear me. So, oh, look at that. Oh, some kids are playing with this little toy car there with a remote. Oh, not a kid. Oh, it's a young adult though. When I arrived, it was quiet outside. Everybody was indoors. And when I just started to set up, the whole indoor party came outside. So there's a loud, like a good dozen plus people just sort of nearby me having a cocktail party beside me. Sometimes they cackle and scream pretty loudly. Oh yeah, okay. So you're so afraid of being honest with yourself. We're afraid, okay? That's called self-activation, triggers abandonment depression, or this overstimulation or persecutory anxiety, okay? So self-activation, meaning knowing ourselves, like something truthful, meaning real self. So knowing yourself, like your real self, your authentic self, finding the totality, okay? Knowing your pattern, knowing your script, knowing why you're dysfunctional, knowing even that you're dysfunctional to protect the mother. Anything about yourself that you're trying to know, you're being a truth seeker. If the moment you do that, that's going to trigger, okay, that's going to trigger the original experience which you don't remember with the mother, where the baby had a truth, a budding beauty, emerging self. That's his truth. and mother squashed it. He felt immense pain by this. And the baby has to numb out or deny it or psychic splitting or identify with the aggressor. He does tricks of the mind to make him unaware of it. And so when we unravel this or try to face this kind of thing, we're going to bring up those old fears which you don't remember. So that's why self-activation, sometimes we're so afraid to be honest with ourselves, because it brings up the immense fear about the back in the past, and we don't know how to deal with that fear. So we may eat a cookie, just anesthetize, numb away, or distract yourself, keep busy, or blame and blow off steam, or some people space out. And today's topic, the dorsal nerve keeps it, blocks you out, kind of thing, called mild disassociation. You don't feel present anymore. So you play deer in the headlights. So deer in the headlights is one coping strategy. It's a very sad coping strategy because you're so flooded, you're so overwhelmed. You're afraid to speak against your mother. You're afraid, so then you might space out, kind of thing, a little bit. Anyways, so that's what we're trying to do here in 1001 Windmills of the Mind. Look inside ourselves. You're so afraid of being honest with yourself, you'd better take a look inside your head. He means psyche. He doesn't mean physically your head. He means like your psyche, like your mind, like that. Maybe it was supposed to rhyme with another word. I'm not sure. I don't have the full lyrics. I only plucked out the useful parts, basically. The rest of it, I don't know what he's doing with the rest of it. There's some kind of a... Maybe with the rest of it was some kind of a... I'm not sure. I don't want to think too badly about the guy. But the rest of it has a little bit of a subtle kind of innuendo like that. Really, to my surprise, I don't believe he's not aware of that. He left it in on purpose. If it came up by accident, I noticed he has some co-writers or something. He was trying to please them or something. I don't know what's going on, but he's the leader of the band, so he had the final say. So I don't really like that song, to tell you the truth. Yes, there's a couple of lines in there that's okay, and if you keep the context of the meaning of the song, "Fight the Good Fight," means be a hero. Okay, fight the good fight means at midlife, you gotta be like Theseus. Okay, you gotta go in the labyrinth with the thread. Then you gotta be like Perseus. Okay, you gotta reflect and discern. Reflect and discern. Okay, Theseus and Perseus are heroes. Odysseus is a hero. All these characters are heroes. Okay, but this kind of fight the good fight, it's not like a physical thing. It's more like face your traumatic script, face the memories, face the truth. The truth will upset you. If you're that kind of hero, it's like an inner hero. It's like an honesty hero, like a truth seeker hero. It's not like violence or something. But that's what I don't like about that song. It has some kind of violent overtones to it. That's mainly why I don't like it. So when I on occasion I hear the song, I cherry pick. I'll pick the side that I'll pick the lyrics that I like and ignore the other stuff. So. But he says, the guy, he says he just put out a little video this morning. I saw. He says that that's his favorite song, like really his #1 top favorite song is that one there. I think he did. I think it's one of his worst. His other songs, he betrayed himself. I think Young Enough to Cry, songs like that. Spellbound, Mind Games, Tears in the Rain. Those kind of songs, I thought were pretty good. 1 second. Let me do a perspiration now.
I would like to thank all my subscribers that... It's the same old story all over again. It's out of light, just another friend. Making
let's try it later on the line here. Let's be truth seeker here. Let's try to face why we might be afraid of being honest with ourselves. Because it betrays the mother. The mother didn't want us to have our honesty. The mother didn't want us to be free and autonomous. Many mothers don't want their child to be free and happy because they're invested to turn the child into a source of narcissistic supply for her. Okay, in the mother's mind, she doesn't have the memory of mother soothing her. So that's a real need. Okay? When real needs are not met, she may look for symbolically something else to fill in for that missingness. She's got to have mother's love kind of thing. So there's a kind of like metaphorical, kind of like a hole in the mind a little bit, not in the head, just something missing. Okay, what's the mother's supposed to have in the mind? Memories of having been loved, soothed, seen, okay, comforted, accepted, and all that. Okay, called the soothing interject, the holding interject. Okay, the internalized good object constancy, whatever you want to call it, that's kind of missing. So when a real need is missing, the mother's going to symbolically look for that. She turns to the baby and says, "Baby, you're gonna do what my mother should have done. You're gonna soothe me, and you're gonna see me, and you're gonna be there for me. You're gonna make me feel safe. Baby, I made you to find me," says Anne Sexton, 1960 poem. Okay, so some mothers unknowingly parentify the child. Okay, unknowingly they're gonna parentify the child. And actually, today, is it today? Hang on. Is it today's batch? Oh no, coming up in a future video, I did a preview last time. Let's take it up here. About in 3040. Go to the last quote in 3040. There's a TV show called Celebrity Playhouse, episode "The Fleeting Years." The daughter confronts the mother, a pampered, spoiled woman. The mother, everyone took care of her. I have no idea why. Nothing really. Anyways, the daughter says to the mother, you know, mother, psychologists are always railing against mothers who won't let their children live their lives. Our relationship, mother, ours is one of life's little switches. I've been more mother to you than daughter. See, that mother got the money from the husband, material mother, and the emotion from the daughter. She never really grew up like that. She was infantile. So the daughter had like a pseudo-adulthood. She never had a mother. She had to have a kind of like an excessive, false kind of a pseudo-adulthood, pseudo-mother to take care of her. She never knew herself. So the daughter had a false self in response. And to get along with the mother, she had to take care of her. So she grew up, that daughter grew up taking care of her mother all the time, serving her, never letting her feel alone, respecting her, do what she wants. Mother says, mother. Ironically, the mother kept saying to the daughter, "Mother's knows best, you gotta do what I say." And the daughter is actually taking care of her when the mother tricks her like that, switcheroo like that. So that's called childhood parentification. So that old show, that classic TV show back in the 50s, they presented this issue of childhood parentification. And that mother, she also was never honest with herself. Okay, long story short, she finally realized it's time to grow up. So in her 60s or something, she began. She was a late bloomer. She took her first job as a waitress, and she kind of began like that. Better late than never kind of thing. Where are we here? Hang on. Okay, let's switch gears here a little bit. So today's video, we don't post too many quotes from self-help authors, but today will be the rare exception. So we do have a thread on, I want to focus mainly on a preview of TQ, what is it again? TQ 3042. I want to do a preview of 3042, and it's mainly from one of these little mini self-help books about your nerves, talking about your nervous system. So it's not, there's no psychoanalysis here, there's no insights like that. But we do have a thread on the body bears the burden. Okay, so the rage of the mother, the mother rejects it. The baby's rage can rebound in on itself. Okay, the baby wants to live. Mother, I want to live. I have a budding beauty. I need a secure attachment style. She rejects it. Like the wicked queen of Snow White eats the heart. Okay, and because the mother is in a state of narcissism where she thinks she's entitled to receive, so she can't give. So to not think that she's supposed to give, she tries to eliminate the request by the baby. So she eats the baby's heart. Okay, the rough handling, her anger with the rough handling is the laces, her angry thoughts, the cone, and the cortisol and the breast milk. Okay, the first mother for the baby, the first part object is the nipple. So the cortisol and the feeding, okay, nipple, cortisol, put it all together, poison apple idea. So this is in response to the mother feeling entitled. If a mother's narcissistic, she's in a 24/7 state of entitlement, narcissism, all about me, center stage, who's it all about, mirror, mirror, who's it all about. Okay, she just sees herself, she only cares about herself, highly egocentric. Okay, so the shortcut in the fairy tale was who's the fairest or something like that. But it's generally meaning, that's just a standard for the general idea that she's center stage, she's in the solipsistic bubble, she's supposed to receive. She has symbolic acting out. She got to receive. She didn't get mother's love, so everything should serve her. Called narcissistic supply. So she has a baby. Baby, you're not. I'm not going to treat you like. I can't treat you like a human being. I need narcissistic supply. I'll keep you alive. I'll crush your spirit, and I want you to come to me. I want you to be dependent on me and turn to me and be helpless and not be happy and always turn to me. And I'll interpret that as feeling important. And you're always coming to me. Then I don't feel alone. I feel important. If you're shame and defective, I don't see it in myself. You turn to me, I feel important. So the mother does this perverse thing where she wants to get her needs met using the child. A lot of mothers, unfortunately, had the experience themselves when they were a baby, okay, that their mother did that to them. Okay, when there's so much pain like that, you identify with the aggressor, and in an attempt to remember what happened to you, you do it onto your own child. So a mother shaming the child, it's for her to know and for her to make the inference that she was shamed by her mother back in the nursery. Oh, good. Oh, I think they're leaving soon. Oh, good. Oh, what a relief. Okay, that means I can go back to my fan. Okay, let's wait a bit. I had a fan set up. The group came out. Oh, seriously? Let's see if I can hold out here after all. It's close to 40 with the heat index. Every day is pretty much the same. It's sort of in the mid-30s officially, but with the heat index, it varies between high 30s and low 40s, something like that. Oh, hold on a second. Oh, yeah, okay, let's try to stay here. I like it when it's kind of quieter on here sometimes. A nice venue. Yeah, I've done numerous videos here. Some of the best videos are done in this location. That's a great little spot. I got to get on the SkyTrain. Okay, why am I telling you about the Sky? In the last video, I was trying to discuss openly why I kept talking about the SkyTrain. And on occasion, I try to analyze myself while I'm talking, kind of thing. I have not been analyzed. Let's be clear here. Disclaimer times 100. Disclaimer, disclaimer, etc. I'm not a shrinker, professor, midwife, doula, nutritionist, gynecologist, cultural anthropologist, chemist, physiologist, biologist, medical doctors, which he's kind of referring to here a little bit about the nervous system. So I'm trying to learn this material. Now the benefit of 1001 Windmills of the Mind is that I'm choosing clear quotes with the hope that 1 out of 10 will click through for anybody in midlife. So again, this is for truth seekers at midlife. Usually around 40, people realize the pin's in the collar, something's missing. What's missing? Well, the pin in the collar means flat affect. Under the collar, flat affect. Okay, flat affect. Feelings are kind of flat. You're not feeling real and alive, like the Velveteen Rabbit. Okay, so that's a huge loss. That's called your beingness, your embodiment, your sense of self, your home within. If you feel flat like that, and the pin in the collar, and you're kind of spinning in your head because you can't, because the trauma keeps you spinning in the head to not feel, so you don't make links. Because if you make links, you might feel. Mother said to the baby, "You can't feel. I eat your heart." Mother, the Wicked Queen says to the baby, you want a connection with me? You don't feel. Pin goes on a collar. So that's why it's hard to be a truth seeker. Back to the song here. You're so afraid to look inside yourself. What was it again? Where'd it go? Oh, I lost it. Yeah, where was that line again? Do we just play the song? I don't really like the song. What the hell? Fight the good fight. Again, okay, you gotta think in terms of it's facing yourself is the good fight. Okay, understanding yourself is the good fight, the authentic fight. The authentic fight, we shouldn't even use the word fight. It's like the process of discerning. So the fight is fighting against old beliefs, fighting against. We shouldn't even be using the word fight. That's another reason I don't like the song. The word fight shouldn't even be involved in this area. There's a basic inherent flaw in the title of that song. When you're doing the midlife autumn, there's no antagonism. It's compassion and self-understanding, reflection, understanding, reflection, discerning. What is it? Curiosity, detective. So the song should be called "Be Your Own Existential Detective." That we should change the song. Be your own story doctor. Be your own. Narrativize your story, find your story, formulate your story, discover your story, make the links, find the truth, be a seeker. And they say, well, fight the good fight. Oh boy. Okay, well, if you preface that phrase with those ideas, fine. But when people hear that phrase, they're going to associate, in a negative way. And then they use references that also link to violence. And they include other references that have a violent overtone. So it's not a very good song overall. But Rick Emmett said they closed their concerts with that song. Maybe against his will. I don't know. He left the band, Rick Emmett, the other lead singer. He's the voice of he was the voice of it. But so yeah, he finally left the band. Maybe the band got too violent or something. Yeah, hold on a second. Let me fix my thing here. Hold on a second.
Story all over again. It's out of light, just another friend. I wanna love you, I wanna make you mine. Want to lay it on the line. I'm tired of playing foolish games. I'm tired of all your lies making me insane. I don't ask for much, truth will do just fine. Want to lay it on the line. 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 Don't waste my time. Got no right to make me wait. Better talk more before it gets too late. Never ever want to cause I want to lay it on the line.
Okay, okay, I want to do a preview of this self-help book about the nerves. It's written by a follower. She's not a doctor. I think she's a social worker or something. She was a student of Mr. Porges, Stephen Porges or something. And this Mr. Porges guy, I know nothing about him. I never looked into this. I just found her last night a little bit. I thought, yeah, this maybe not so bad. Let's dip into this a little bit. So let me just dip my toes in the water here. I haven't studied this area at all, so this is all very tentative. It'll be updated. I'm sure there'll be mistakes in what I'm trying to say. And it even and a lot of people question his theory. But even though he might be right or wrong, there's still something involved to know yourself. He is looking inward. he is fighting the good fight in the sense of he's looking inward. Okay, if we use the phrase "fight the good fight" means looking inward, we got okay. I still can't get used to that phrase. Let's say. Yeah, in the song "Lay It on the Line," look inside yourself. Was that the one in there? Better take a look inside yourself. Is that the line? Maybe we can use the line from this other song. Take a look inside yourself. Oh, that's the okay. Well, let's look for an accurate synonym to capture the spirit of self-reflection. Like what would be a good song title that immediately makes it clear that the courage is to look within. The courage to look within, that kind of thing. So let's look for a title like that. These guys were young when they put it out, so maybe they're just trying to. And the third mate is heavily involved in. Is probably part of the general system of propaganda. So maybe there's a factor in that area. I don't know. But they're a great band nonetheless. Yeah. So Gilmore and Rick Emmett were the two lead singers. They split the singing half and half, and a few of their songs are on our soundtrack. The original "Lay It On the Line" and Alyona Yaroshina's cover just played earlier, and then a few other ones. "Young Enough to Cry," of course, "Tears in the Rain," and then what's the other one? Oh, "Spellbound," and I'm including "Mind Games" as well. Not a well-known song of theirs. What's the other? Oh, "Just a Game" by Rick Emmett, complaining about the music industry, about all the. It's similar to April Wine's song "Rock and Roll Is a Vicious Game," just about the corruption and greed and the cruelty of not treating people like human beings, just wanting money. Just a game like that. What else did we play? There's a couple of other ones. Magic Power is a big hit of theirs. I don't really include that one for some reason. It's an okay song, of course. What else? Okay, there's a couple of others in there. I forgot already. Hold On's okay, but I don't really include that one. It's an okay song, Hold On. What other hits? What's the other one? Oh, Follow Your Heart. Yeah, okay. Follow Your Heart. That's okay. Yeah, that's in our soundtrack. Follow Your Heart. Now that's a positive. That's clearly a positive song. Follow Your Heart. Yeah. Okay. So let's follow our nerves. In this video, I want to follow our nerves. I want to follow the nerves. Meaning, let's take a look at the nerves. So what I'm about to say is just tentative. I'm just brainstorming myself. I didn't read the book. I just skimmed little bits of it. And luckily, she's a clear writer. This Miss Dana woman, she's the main follower of Mr. Porges. So she's sort of the one that's spreading his message, I guess. I just took a quick peek on YouTube. Oh no, I don't want to listen to her. I don't look at her. So, what a perfect opportunity. If you have an aggressive, kind of bossy, bully personality, controlling personality, and you have knowledge, and you can use the knowledge to administer your personality pattern. So she's disseminating the information, but as a channel or sublimation or vehicle to express her bully personality. So what this information about the nerves has nothing to do with psychoanalysis. It doesn't address narcissism or the bully pattern, iago, psychic splitting, projective identification, repetition compulsion, symbolic acting out, okay, and the fear of healing, fear of linking. It doesn't address anything practical. No intrapsychic model, no internal working model, no traumatic script, no schemas and schematas, and nothing like that. No imprints, nothing like that. It's just only nerves. Only nerves. So if you have knowledge about the nerves, and you're teaching about the nerves, then you could administer your bully pattern using the information about the nerves. And people are interested about the information about the nerves, but I think this woman is enjoying the indulgence of controlling and looking at porn and getting your narcissistic display needs, and I'm looking at me and looking for lackeys and looking for followers and bullying people and interrupt. Her style is kind of sort of a typical bully, I think. I did. Maybe I'm wrong. I only saw like 5 minutes of her. I felt triggered already just seeing her. So I'll just read. But on the other hand, she's pretty clear in terms of disseminating what Mr. Porges said here. So Mr. Porges, from what my first impression is, he's kind of doing what Janoff did. He's kind of doing a variation of what Arthur Janoff was doing back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and all that. So Janoff would talk a lot about the 3-in-1 brain. The 3-in-1 brain. Our brain has 3 parts. Okay, the visceral stuff, the sensation stuff called the survival brain. Okay, the spine, the tip of the spine, the amygdala, the autonomic nervous system. That kind of that's the original kind of like, that's one system. It's one system of the body and the brain like that. That system is just related to the stress response, the amygdala, cortisol, stress. It's all visceral like that. So that's why that part of the brain is often nicknamed, okay, the salamander brain, or the iguana brain, or the chameleon brain, or reptile brain, or dinosaur brain, crocodile brain, the frog brain. Take your favorite pick. So pick a creature in that category, and you can nickname that part of the brain like those creatures, because those creatures only care about the instinct to survive, and that part of the brain likewise is mainly about survival. Am I safe or not? Am I safe or not? Survive, survive. So that's like the safety brain, the survival brain. Am I safe or not? That's all it cares about. Okay, you don't see crocodiles with warmth and affection and love and playing and nothing like that. So that part of the brain is kind of like that. That's the first part of the brain. It's visceral sensations, cares about survival. Only one question in mind: am I safe or not? And the stress response. Okay, the stress response. So flee or fight, or if you can't do either, then you space out, deer in the headlights. Okay, then the main one, the second part of the brain, called the feeling self, the feeling mind, the embodiment, the sense of self. Okay, that's the mammal side. So you nickname the middle part after your favorite mammal. If you're a horse or a dog or a cat or any kind of mammal, woolly mammal, woolly mammoth, the woolly mammoth. That's not bad. The woolly mammoth. Any kind of mammal, you can pick your favorite mammal. Giraffe. Giraffe's a good one, I think. Whatever. And then the cortex, the thinking cap. Okay. So we got the 3 brains, and it kind of developed over evolution. It kind of, you had the first one, then we layered on top of it the middle one, we layered on top of that the third one. So it doesn't replace the previous one. You're just keeping adding on top. So we have all 3, and they all have a purpose like that. Okay. So Janoff would using that, he would identify, well, with trauma, with psychological, with emotional trauma, the feeling self gets frozen, and our life force goes to the limbic system. Okay, now the limbic system is visceral. So he would measure people's body temperature, their heart palpitations, the heart math, the speed between the beats, your breathing. Is your breathing shallow and short? Or he would measure your physiological kind of things. He would even measure how much cortisol is in your system. Okay, then after the therapy process, he would take those measurements again and realize that actually people cooled down, their breathing was deeper, their tone of voice was more embodied, they seemed friendlier, they seemed lighter, they seemed happier, like that. So he would focus on that if we can help a person to grieve, tell their story, if we can facilitate and be a guide to quote-unquote psychological midwife, if we can be a midwife to their healing, like that. Oh, new groups coming in. A whole bunch of cars just arrived. Oh, they're very well dressed. My goodness, they look very... There must have been some special function. My goodness, yeah. Boy, let me take another perspiration moment here. Let's change up the song. Actually, let's... I did originally prepare to play an old, an unknown song called folk, German traditional, some kind of medieval folk or something from old German or something. It's not a bad song, actually. A little moody, slightly haunting kind of song. And then suddenly I saw that thing about the cover by Nancy Wilson, The Pitiful. Please don't ever play that on the radio. I don't want to. Nancy Wilson's very good. She sings well. She has a big hit, Nancy Wilson. I forgot which one it was, but she has a big hit. It's funny, a lot of the, you know, and even Steve Perry and the country singer Willie Nelson redid Faithfully as a duet just recently. Oh man, I can't, also unlistenable. So let's listen to this one here. Let's see what you think here. K-U-E-M, and then T-O, and then M-I. The band is called, I don't have it, I think it's W-O-J-A-G-E-R, with the 2 dots over the O, I think. Hard to find on YouTube, but if you type in all that, it should show up. He only had the one album, that's the main song on. Apparently, according to the liner notes, it's old German. I have no idea what the song's about. Just seemed like an interesting song. Our most recently added song to our soundtrack is by an Italian singer, Aldo. What's the name again? Aldo something. Aldo Tagli something, what is it? Our most newly added song to our soundtrack is by a singer named Aldo Taglia Pietra, called Nella Pietra e Nel Vento. Great song, nice little song about nostalgia, pathological nostalgia, getting older, and we talked about that a fair bit recently, yeah. So maybe we'll add this Wolfganger song as well. Kill me, tell me. All right, back to the nerves here. So Janov would talk about that a bit, about how the brain has 3 parts, and we want to be able to recognize that as we find our story, do the grieving process, and then you weep and all that, the cortisol exits your... The cortisol can actually enter into your tears. Somebody said recently that when you're crying, like, I mean real crying, emotional crying, cortisol is in the tears, so you're getting the stress out. Okay, and then where are we here? Yeah, so cortisol enters into the tears. So you're literally, he said, you can almost think of it that your stress is getting out. That's why you feel better after a good cry. You have less cortisol. Cortisol is stress, right? It's painful stress. So when you have an emotional knowing and you feel safe because you got your story, okay, now you're processed, you feel safe, then you get the release like that. Okay, so anyways, for more on Arthur Janoff, can I refer you to TQ's 2745 to 70. We did a 26 video special run on his career, on his work, several decades work, minus the first book, the one that made him famous. And everybody ignored the rest of it. But the rest of it was the good stuff. People are obsessed with the first book, which was nonsense, but he corrected himself and updated and updated and updated. We don't talk about the technique, but the knowledge, and he's a good researcher and synthesizer of information. And I think I plugged the top best 300 quotes of his. So for one source, if you want like a good, quick summary of Arthur Janoff's work, I would highly recommend reading those 300 quotes distributed throughout those 26 videos, 2745 to 70, from January 2024 to January and February. It took me 2 months basically of 2024. All those quotes there. Great stuff, very informative. He's a good synthesizer, brings things together, very informative. Okay, so let's say that instead of a parallel way of the 3-in-1 brain, what about the nerves? That we have 3 nervous systems. Instead of 3 brains, we have 3 nervous systems. So just as a starting point, let me backtrack and simplify it by old brain, new brain. So let's just focus on 2 for the minute, and 1 branches into 2. Okay, so in the visceral brain, the survival brain, and the feeling brain. Okay, so you got like the chameleon, like a reptile, and you got the puppy, the dinosaur, and the giraffe, the 2 brains. Okay, dinosaur and giraffe, 2 brains. Okay, so let's just put that together somehow as simply the old brain, the mammalian brain. Okay, the old mammalian brain. So some people call it the mammal brain or the mammalian brain, or the old limbic system, and it has those 2 kind of parts. Versus the new brain, which is the cortex, which we grew 200,000 years ago, according to the film Forbidden Planet, science fiction film Forbidden Planet. They estimate that 200,000 years ago, we grew the thinking cap, the cortex. It gives us language, we can speak, and so on. So that's like the new brain, old brain, right? Okay. Now, ideally, with the new brain, okay, and you're healthy inside, your body and your system, your body's healthy, your mother loved you, you're healthy in your body, you're healthy in your memories. And with the cortex, you express what's unique about you. And that's pleasure. Okay, the blue jay of happiness, the bluebird of happiness is within says Shirley Temple. The bluebird of happiness. Okay. When you express, when you're conscious of what's unique about you, and you share that kind of thing, okay, that's the Pegasus and the Muses. Okay, so when you have your Pegasus, your soul, and you can express it. The general idea of expressing is the cryosaur, but as a broader universal. But when you express yourself, it can be done in various ways, like the muses, arts, music, math, even just creative living, or just being playful or something like that. Okay, so when you're healthy, let's say, when you're not traumatized, let's put it simple, when you're not traumatized and your body system is okay, and mother loved you, and you have your embodiment, you have your beingness, you have your soul, you have your Pegasus, you have your maiden king, okay, maiden king, okay, maiden, feminine, king, doing, feminine, being, okay, masculine, doing, king. When you have that system like that, as natural state of affairs, you were born with a budding beauty, mother made it safe for you to keep it. Mother made it safe for you to have your emerging self, and your authentic self remained a part of you. So you feel embodied like that. So when you feel embodied and you have your yin, your Shakti, your midnight blue, Lou Graham calls it, your beingness, your embodiment, your sense of self, you feel real and alive, you feel authentic, you feel warm with them. Okay? You have a sense of an I, like, so you can I feel joy, there's an I there. The mother can love the baby because she can say, I love the baby because she's got an I. And with the I, you can make I statements. Okay? You can have intimacy. You can feel. You have ethics and morality and virtue and gratitude. You can make amends. If you make a mistake, you can apologize. You can say, I feel badly for that, and you have the ethics to articulate what you feel badly about, to share the confession. That promotes relationship and connection. You want to restore the connection. That's ethics like that. So the quote-unquote more human side of you, that's the regular state of affairs. The temperament's calm like that, easygoing, and you have various capacities as described by Masterson. Go to the book The Search for the Real Self by James F. Masterson, whatever mentors. Excellent books, a good place to start. So when you have your embodiment, or when you get your embodiment back, let's say you lost it, maybe you get it back. If you have it, if you were able to have it all along because mother made it safe for you to have that, or maybe you lost it in midlife, you kind of got it back. If you have your embodiment, your authentic self, you're going to be consciously aware of what's kind of unique about you. The Great Spirit makes everyone unique. Okay? Never in all of history was there. For some reason, the Great Spirit makes everything unique. Every little pebble here is unique, right? Every person is unique. Every leaf is unique. So the Great Spirit likes it. Like same with people, we're all a little unique. But with humans, we're conscious. So we're conscious of our uniqueness. When we have our beingness, our uniqueness isn't buried because our beingness is buried, I mean repressed. It's there with us, so we're conscious of it. And the cortex makes us understand it, and we have the cryosaur or the muses to express it. So that's the help. So when we, from that place, from that place of expressing your true self, your real self, your authentic self, your embodied self, your sense of self, your ontological self, when you have that kind of place, and you can make I statements, intimacy, affection, morality, virtue, creative, display, spontaneity, all that regular kind of stuff. The nerves in your body, that lets you feel the pleasant feeling of your nerves being calm, and your nerves letting you feel this calm and body, peaceful feeling. The nerve associated with the healthy side is called the ventra. The ventra, something vent. What is it called? The ventra. Just found it yesterday. Hold on. The venta something, not the vento. Not the vento, the song. It's called the ventra. Maybe the ventra? Is it the ventra? Oh, for Pete's sake. The ventra. I think it's the ventra. Hold on. Where are you here? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong page. Hold on. What happened to it? Hold on a second. It's called Ventra. V-E-N-T-R-A. Oh, sorry. V-E-N-T-R-A-L. Ventra. So the ventra. How can we remember that? Ventra. Does it rhyme with anything? Ventra. Two syllables. Ven. Okay, and then tra. Oh boy. Ventra. Ben tries? No. Ben try? No. Ben. Zen, oh Zen, how about Zen? We'll take the ben and think of Zen, and then Zen, is that gonna work? If you think of Zen, ben, tra. Okay, Zen, rhymes with ventra. No, ventral. Oh, central. Okay, central. When Zen is central, that's zentral. Okay, think of that. Instead of ventral, think of zentral. So start with zentral, like you have a peaceful embodiment. You're in Zen mode or something. You're embodied. That's maybe we can bore the Zen for that idea. So zentral. Think of Zen being central. Think of Zen being central. That's zentral, and then change the Z to a V. Ventral. Zen and central. Okay, so I'm just doing it for myself to remember this as well. Okay, so that's the healthy nerve. That's the nerve we want. We want the ventral nerves. We want to live from our ventral nerves. We want the ventral nerves to take center stage. We want the ventral nerves. We want our ventral nerves to run the show, run our lives. Okay, that's like the healthy side of it all. The new brain, the healthy side and all that. Okay. Okay, but let's say there's trauma. Now what? Now we go to the old brain. Now what's in the old brain? You got three things going in the old brain with trauma. Okay, you got the flight, fight, and freeze. Now the fight and the fight are kind of the same thing. It's the stress response to flee. If you're cornered and you can't flee, then you maybe got the fight thing, right? So if the animal can't escape, maybe he's gonna fight or something, right? If the dog wants to run away, but if he's cornered, he might bite back or something. The fight, something like that. Okay, that's called the sympathetic nerves. Sympathetic. Not sympathy, nothing to do with sympathy. I feel sorry, nothing to do with that. It's just simply called sympathetic. Okay, so nothing to do with sympathy. It's the stress response of the flight or fight response. Now, the third option is the baby is overwhelmed. He cannot leave the wicked queen mother. Okay, if the mother's narcissist, okay, in the fairy tale, the good mother died because the mother was good in the uterus. Okay, in the uterus, the mother was good. But at birth trauma, betrayal trauma, shock trauma, relational trauma, interpersonal trauma, betrayal trauma, weaning trauma, all those kind of traumas. Okay, then suddenly the same woman, the baby sees as a wicked queen, meaning she's narcissist, indifferent, didn't care, maybe wanted it that way, so she was an evil queen like that. Okay, so it's not separate people. In the fairy tale, good mother, bad witch, it's not separate people. The baby does psychic splitting to organize it, okay, but it's the same woman. Okay, so the baby can't run away from the cruel mother. Obviously, the baby can't fight with the mother. He can have fantasies and stuff like that. So he can't flee. He can't fight with the mother. What's he going to do? What's the final, most desperate, most primitive, saddest phenomena? What's the last final coping strategy that any animal would do, right? Okay, deer in the headlights. The deer is flooded. He's overwhelmed. He's so afraid. The deer doesn't get it. The deer doesn't think that he can run. The deer doesn't think that he can fight or something. The deer is just so flooded. The body's frozen. He's spaced out in the mind. The body's there, but the mind is gone. Deer in the headlights, or the rabbit in the headlights. Now the nerves associated with the freeze response, the disassociation response, the I'm not here response, okay, is called the dorsal. The dorsal. The dorsal. That's easy to remember, right? The dorsal. Dorsal. Oh my God, dorsal. Jesus Christ. Okay, dorsal. D-O-R-S-A-L. How do we remember that? Dorsal. Dorsal. Does that rhyme with anything? Dorsal. Dorsal. Morsel. Morsel. Dorsal. Morsel. torso. Horse? No, Morso. That's the only thing that rhymes, right? Corso. That's not corso. Corso. Sorso. Torso. That's torso. No, that's not it. B. Orso. W. Orso. Y. Yorso. Z's. Okay, I guess morsel. So just think of like a morsel, like a little small amount of something, a morsel. And then you get dorsal. Or think of door. Think of door, like the door, open the door. And you're gonna open it for Sal, Mr. Sal. Open the door for Sal. Mr. Okay. Let's say you know somebody named Sal. Open the door for Sal. Door Sal. Okay. I'm just trying to remember myself here. I'm just discovering this, really, tell you the truth. Just found it literally this morning. A little bit last night, and then when I woke up, I picked up on it quickly. So I got a very late start here. Let's see what time is it. It's already 3:40. Okay, so are you with me so far? So if you're happy and healthy, that's the ventral. Zen is central. Ventral. Okay. If you're traumatized, it's either going to be flee or fight response called the amygdala. If the amygdala plays, the animal's going to run away, or if he can't run away, if he's cornered, he's going to fight with the whatever. Okay, that's the sympathetic, so-called sympathetic, and the animal can't do either or neither. If he can't do either, if he's just overwhelmed, it's just too much, whoosh. Okay, he spaces out. That's the dorsal. So the nerves associated in those three examples are ventral, sympathetic, and dorsal. Dorsal, yeah, dorsal. Okay. So the dorsal, okay, means disassociation. You don't even know where you are. Sometimes called derealization. You don't know what's around you is not real. Depersonalization. You don't feel real anymore. You're just kind of out of it like that. This is the mercy. This is the mercy this is the mercy that if the deer, if the car's gonna hit the deer, he's flooded with endorphins to numb him. So he's numb. So the dorsal makes you numb, makes you spaced out, makes you absent. You're out of it. You don't kind of thing. That's like a mercy thing. That's like the final ditch coping strategy, like that. So isn't it sad that a baby's so traumatized by his own mother, betrayed so much by his own mother, he's going to be spaced out. He's going to live in a trance, in a swoon. He's going to be numb, sleepwalk to life, go through the motions of life. Okay, he'll be numb to life. So he's just going through the motions of life. Okay, enter the painting, Stepping Up by Roy Lichtenstein. You got this bland-looking guy, and all of his life force is on the other side of the painting. Let me take another perspiration moment here. Hold on a second. Hayfield. Okay, hayfield. If you go to a natural place in nature, like a hayfield, you might calm down a little bit and possibly feel. If you have the psychic structure to feel embodied when the stress goes down, then you'll get the ventral. But if you don't have the psychic structure, at least you'll feel less stressed and a little calmer. Hayfield by Anne Shell.
Waves of sorrows are crashing down on me. They pull me deep down to the
Okay, so self-help authors are always coming up with little self-soothing kind of things. Go to nature, take a walk, do some mindfulness exercises, do some gentle yoga, do some tai chi, things like that. It will for a moment calm you down kind of thing. Movement, gentle movements seem to for the moment calm you down, right? Or slow walking or something. So as a band-aid, we can do all these self-help, go to nature, walk in nature. We can do all these little things. There's hundreds of little things we can do to calm ourselves down, right? Even listening to music, lots of things. But that's why this vagal theory doesn't promote genuine healing. Although it is a piece of the puzzle. To be mindful that, are you coming from ventral? Are you coming from sympathetic? Or are you spaced out coming from dorsal? Which nerve is running you now? Which part of your nervous system is front and center? The dorsal, so if you're spacing out, you know, it's funny, I was at the park the other day and I was very absent-minded. I was like really not with it. Sometimes I do a video, I'm really out of it. Today, maybe not so much, but I was talking, but am I here? Like I'm reading the quotes, I'm talking, but I was like really, just a little slightly daydreaming or something. I wasn't present at all. Okay, that means the dorsal. So the dorsal means that something in the present triggered an immense fear in my past, where I thought, like a deer in the headlights, something dangerous is gonna happen, I gotta space out, or I was feeling that or something. So when you live your life, you might be triggered and you're gonna flare up one of those two, dorsal or sympathetic. And in the sympathetic, it's going to be fight or flight like that. That's why in the Disney film Inside Out, they were always together, right? Fear and anger. The characters, fear and anger, they're always like a pair like that. They're always together. My assumption is that first the baby wants to flee. The natural thing to do is to flee, but if he can. You know, she did make a point in that short clip I saw, and I think in this little book I also saw it. There's something about people's fear of showing the dorsal. Like if you're overwhelmed and you're spaced out, people accuse you, oh, you're so weak, or oh, you're such a wimp or something. They have these negative ideas about you. Not having empathy, that they're more traumatized and more overwhelmed, they're spacing out. Do you say to a deer caught in the headlights, oh, what a weak animal, he can't run, he can't hop over the car, he can't escape, what a weak animal. Should we really say that? Are we so, you see, that's a sign of trauma if you don't have empathy for the poor deer like that. The empathy is only going to come from the ventral, but the ventral will give you the empathy if you can get the ventral. Now, this is not a perfect either-or situation. We all have all three. We all have all three, just like everybody has 3 parts of the mind. So we all have 3 parts of the nervous system. The idea is to see, well, which one, she says draw like a pie chart. Draw a pie chart and do the 3, and you can see which one is dominating any given moment. So in one moment, the pie chart might look like one way. 10 minutes later, you know, the pie chart might look a different way. So we have all 3. It's not like a fixed kind of thing. It's not a perfect model. I feel a little, certain little jabs, something jarring slightly about her model. And in Wikipedia, I typed it in. Oh yeah, doctors don't go by this. He's sort of like a fringe thing on the side, but he's still helpful nonetheless. Like Janoff was also kind of fringe on the side, but he was very helpful nonetheless. And some of these fringe characters end up being more helpful than the regular ones. Although they're wrong, there are many basic flaws, but sometimes you gotta live with the flaws to get something good out, something like that. So maybe he's doing something similar here. Okay, with that as an opening, let's run through this. Disclaimer once again, I'm not a doctor. I know nothing about nerves. Although ironically, you know, we say that all the time. You know, with trauma, we have a nervous breakdown. What do you mean nervous breakdown? Well, your ventral is not going to be available. And you'll be operating either at a sympathetic or dorsal. If you're operating mainly at a sympathetic, okay, hypervigilant, you know, hyper alert, hypervigilant, hyperarousal, hyperstimulus, okay, always tense, always alert, you know, that's a sympathetic one, or the collapsed one. I give up kind of thing, and I'm spaced out, and I just don't care anymore. Indifferent, who cares, blasé, that stuff. You probably, you know. So we're talking about nerves here, right? We haven't really fully linked it to personality. But your personality will dictate maybe which nerves are running the show mostly. And it's going to vary under stresses, it's going to vary under situations. But even people with the bully pattern, narcissistic pattern, Iago pattern, all the negative personality patterns, even if you take them to a beautiful place, a nice place, they might still be hypervigilant. They can't calm down. They still can't calm down. So the environment didn't affect it, right? But you take a person who does have ventral, but they're under stress, and you take them to the same paradise place, they might calm down. Right? So there's environment and psychology. Okay. Like anytime a bully is saying, "Yeah, I'm in ventral," no way, no way. I don't buy it. They feel a sense of infantile megalomania, narcissism. They've got their narcissistic supply needs, so they feel like a king and a god. They feel oxygen. I mean, they feel they feel safe from the serotonin because their shame self is externalized and someone else is no good. When the bully has schadenfreude and they make a negative joke about, so I feel good now. This perverse thing called emotional sadism or schadenfreude. Oh, yeah, I feel good, man. Okay, that feeling good is at somebody's expense and at your own expense, and you're not aware of it. So you externalize it, finding someone as a proxy, and you vicariously delight in seeing your shame self displayed by someone else. So you're not aware of the shame within you. Then you're distracted like that, and then you've identified with the aggressor, and you're one with the mother, and you have a blissful feeling being one with the mother. That's not ventral. That's not ventral. You only have less stress, I guess, because your psychology is I'm above everybody, a king and a god, so you feel less stress. But that's not ventral. The ventral is embodiment. So I don't think distinct personality patterns ever really experience ventral. Because ventral is the creativity and the love and affection area. So if a bully says, "Yeah, I feel ventral, man. Now look at me, I'm superior." So that's a trick to fool you, to be impressed with them. They want status, they want power, they got a superiority complex, which is synonymous with the inferiority complex, the compensation theory. Mr. Adler's compensation theory. How are we doing here? See, I'm on the sympathetic mode. I'm always like a little alert, watching things all the time. I'm a little fidgety, nervous. That's sympathetic stuff, right? I sometimes am very absent-minded. the moments I feel grateful, the times in my life when I feel grateful, that's the ventral, I think. You know, there are moments when I feel warmly grateful. That's a ventral moment. You know, the bullies don't feel grateful. They feel entitled. I feel entitled. I got my entitlement. Yeah, I feel great. That's not ventral. Gratitude, the gratitude, it's like the whole person. It's like balanced like that, a little bit like that. So the moments when you feel gratitude, like warm gratitude, that's in the ventral. The joy of mutual relating, not somebody up, somebody down, not that stuff. Just the genuine kind of like love and caring between two, and the two growing together, and the Freude. Okay, shout out. Okay, Freude is. Okay, let's just go to the quotes here. Okay, so this is mostly sort of like little self-help ideas. Okay, so first one here is, if the phrase calm down doesn't help you, you get triggered by, don't tell me to calm down, don't tell me to relax, so calm down. Well, okay, try this. Calm up. Huh? Calm up. Calm up. Calm up. Calm up. Calming up is a process of organizing sympathetic energy so that it changes from an overwhelming flood to an energizing flow. So maybe the imagery can make you fantasize that you're flooded cortisol. Calm up. So move up your energy to some river and flow a little bit. So these are just little visualizations to calm you down. So calm up. Oh, calm up. I've calmed down, thank you. So when you calm up, you can calm down. These are just little self-help kind of things. Okay. When signals, and I'm just experimenting to see what sticks. Okay. When signals of danger from the past activate in the present. Okay, so you're triggered. Something in the present, okay, has some kind of conscious or unconscious association to some trauma in the past. Okay, so when you're triggered, in other words, we can quickly be pulled into survival energy and enter a familiar pattern of protection. Okay, that's pretty obvious, right? So when you trigger, that's all sympathetic stuff. Okay, sympathetic, am I safe, fight or flight? Or the worst one, you space out. So sometimes you're triggered and you space. I've had that. I'll be triggered and I'm just like, where am I? Like I'm spacing out a little bit. You're still present. You're not totally gone. You don't like lose yourself. Like I want to comment on a TV. Another thing I saw this morning was there's a TV show that's a little bit similar to Twilight Zone, called The Next Step Beyond. But many of the Twilight Zone episodes have a psychoanalytic perspective. They have like a psychology, analytic, intrapsychic perspective. So the parable would be about psychology. This other show talks about quote-unquote psychic phenomena, like grief and missing and yearning and the ghost and fusion and symbiosis and picking up other people's thoughts and feelings. And like one guy was a police officer. He would interview somebody, and he had an uncanny ability to fuse with somebody and pick up the other person's unconscious, and he would go in his unconscious. The person speaking doesn't know or remember, but he can like fuse with him and pick up what's in his unconscious, and from his unconscious he can make it to conscious, and he would draw the thing. How'd you do that? Is this what he looks like? So in one of the Beyond episodes, what's it called? Beyond the Next Step. I just discovered what it's called. Beyond. Yeah, so they talk about that kind of stuff, the psychic phenomena of a symbiotic fusion, and if you're fused, you might pick up what the other person doesn't know, but you have the capacity to make it conscious in yourself. like that. So this officer, this police officer, had that unique gift. Okay, so he would interview a suspect, and the suspect was accused of the crime and all that. He'd talk to him, and while he's talking to him, he's drawing something. Where'd that come from? Is this the guy that committed a crime? Oh my God, that's it. I forgot, but you know what? That's it. You'd be so convinced like that. And they chased the guy. Sure enough, it was the guy. So this show beyond the, what's it called? One Step Beyond or something. Oh, The Next Step Beyond. The Next Step Beyond, which was a sequel to the original called One Step Beyond. So there was a TV show called One Step Beyond, okay, like The Twilight Zone, and then the follow-up called Next Step Beyond, same kind of thing. And they would focus on psychic phenomena, like symbiosis, like unprocessed grief, like psychotic breaks. Now the Twilight Zone does a little bit of that. Yes, they also do a little bit of that, but they advanced it more into the practical area of traumatic scripts and repetition compulsion. You know, psychological phenomena like the baby can't know the truth. You know, the midlife process of the midlife journey. You know, and take my false life, the false self, true self stuff. So they're more practical. Twilight Zone's way more practical. Nevertheless, this other one does talk about see, before we had psychoanalysis, people talked about, you know, psychic phenomena, ESP, and those kind of things. So that show talks like in that more vague kind of area. So I want to play just a short little quote from it a little bit later on. Well, since I mentioned it, let's play it now. Okay, before I forget, let's play it now. So this is from one of the episodes. I just saw it this morning. Probably why I was late. I was trying to come out. Well, let's watch. Let me finish the show here. It's a pretty good show here. That's called Key to Yesterday. So just listen to the closing narration. Listen to the closing narration. Okay, so the psychic phenomena was the father was really haunted by something. Something really bothered the father. Okay, a wealthy man like that. And it made the father climb up. He buried it inside him. It was a pain like that. He never really communicated with the son. So it turned out the father was very guilty. He committed a crime and all that, but no one knew about it. It was all kind of secret like that. Anyways, he passed away, and the son inherited the father's theater. He owned a theater, but he boarded it up for 30 years or something. And no one can use it, no one can rent it, no one can borrow it, he didn't want to sell it. He just kind of kept frozen like that. So the son inherits this theater thing. He goes into it, and there's memories. There's something, the crime took place in that theater. So here you got the son walking into the father's theater. And I guess the son is grieving for the father. The son misses the father. He's grieving for him. He wants to be with him. He wants to be connected to him. He wants to have him around or something. So the son is immensely grieving. So he had a kind of a psychotic break of not only seeing the father, but he actually became the father. So he had an issue of symbiosis. Again, it was symbiosis. So he had a blackout, passed out like that when he went to the theater, and he had a psychotic break in the blackout of being the father. So to connect with the father, he transported back. He's on the ground. He's all in his mind, right? So in his mind, he's having a psychotic break where he is not only reunited with the father, where he would like interact with the father. There was no father there. The father never talked to him or something. So in the immensity of it all, the only way to have some link to the father maybe was to experience what he went through. So now in the nightmare or whatever, he's playing his father in his own nightmare. And he's going through what the father went through decades prior. So the father committed a crime, and he freaked out, and then he woke up. He woke up, right? And now he's like in this kind of half and half kind of thing. And he unknowingly is running around this theater thing for clues about the crime and all this. And the police come in and, who are you? What do you? Oh, I just inherited this theater. Don't worry, it's mine. I belong. Okay, fine. But why are you running around? What are you doing? Are you sick or something? Or what are you trying to break down the door? I don't know. So let's go to the partner, the father's buddy there. The father had a partner, a friend who knows everything, and they pieced it together. And the conclusion was that the father committed a crime. So the psychic phenomena is that sometimes when there's an immense amount of grief, when you're immensely lonely, you might find yourself back in some kind of past thing. So you're on the ground, you're out of it, and you really believe you're in some other kind of. It's very dangerous to have these psychotic breaks. So the guy had a psychotic break, put it that way. And in the psychotic break, he was trying to go back to some kind of place of safety, some kind of place of family, some kind of connection, like that. So he normally, I think the theory is normally you'd have some kind of like the Fawns did in season 11, episode 14, called "The Spirit Is Willing," where he'd interact with some beautiful girl that he would have like a relationship that would make him feel better. But the son never had oneness with the mother, never. So he tried to get it with the father, kind of thing. So he fused with the father, identified with the father somehow. There's obviously no mother around, no reference to the mother. So he transferred the need for the father. So he became the father like that. So that was his way to, he couldn't let go of losing the father. So he went back to be him. But when he went back to be him, where is he? His mind is back decades ago in the theater thing. So he ended up back in the theater thing like that. Okay, so the episode's over, and the closing narration is partly in relation to what I just said, and then he kind of made a more general, broader comment about it. So here it is here. It's just about a minute long. Okay, the next step beyond, key to yesterday. All right, here we go.
Somehow, Dan Garden remembered what had happened to his father, long before he, Dan Garden, moved. But we know that all life is an accumulation of knowledge and experience necessary for its survival, and that this information is passed down from generation to generation. We call much of it instinct, for lack of a better word. Science calls it genetic memory. It's all that has gone before is stored in that most remarkable computer, the human brain, deep in the recesses of our subconscious. Maybe one day, perhaps one day soon, we will find the key to that vast storehouse of the past that we all carry with us. Would that not indeed be an incredible next step beyond?
The audio's not too clear, right? It's not too loud with the audio, right? So he was talking about two things, right? Unconscious memory of the father, and he fused pathological regression, what I tried to talk about, But then he made a broader statement saying that, well, humans evolved, but we still have genetic memories, but we don't remember those, so we carry memories. So he kind of generalized it, that we have these intergenerational memories, intergenerational traumas, and it's carrying on like that. Wouldn't it be good if we can unkey some of this so we can be ourselves, get our full story? Because part of the reason why it's hard to get some of our story, because the mother doesn't know that she was traumatized, and she passes on the trauma to the kid. What a mystery now. How does the child has a hard time figuring out what happened between them, but in order to know what happened between them, he's got to know what happened between the mother and her mother, and how many, and so on like that. Again, let's try it again. Let's see.
Talk. Well, maybe those questions will be necessary. Then, shortly after your father dies, you already must suspect. You told me. Paid her off. Paid her off? For what?
Okay, okay, talks about the crime. All right. Okay, here we go.
How do you know that body was there? Why did you keep trying to break that door down?
And the son and the father look alike, so that kind of adds to the symbiosis. They kind of look very similar.
Somehow, Dan Gardner remembered what had happened to his father long before he, Dan Gardner.
Yeah. So he just said somehow Dan knew what had happened to the father. Somehow, right?
Used all these years to sell the theater. Paid her off. For what? You thought he was unfeeling, uncaring. Now he paid when the girl was my stupid became involved 30 years ago, when I was still there young and foolish. The early years of my marriage were secret. Ellery was blackmailing. I talked it over with your dad. He insisted that he take
Yeah, the crime was about the guy had a mistress. She was a gold digger. He was gonna blackmail her and all this stuff. Oops, oh, what happened here?
Investigated and documented case history of psychic phenomena. It is the next step beyond.
Name of the show. All right. Burlesque. Yeah, that's the burlesque. The theater was the. Okay, there. Okay, here we go. Again.
I was there. Why did you keep trying to break that door down?
That's the dead father.
Somehow, Dan Gardner remembered what had happened to his father long before he, Dan Gardner, was born. But we know that all life is an accumulation of knowledge and experience necessary for its survival, and that this information is passed down from generation to generation. We call much of it instinct, for lack of a better word.
Traumatic script.
Science calls it genetic memory. It's all that has gone before is stored in that most remarkable computer, the human brain, deep in the recesses of our
Imprints.
subconscious. Maybe one day, perhaps one day soon, we will find the key to that vast storehouse of the past that we all carry with us.
Unconscious memories.
Would that not indeed be an incredible next step beyond?
So beyond our traumatic state, beyond dysfunction, beyond repeating, beyond repetition compulsion, we want to get beyond that kind of thing. So he was talking about two things on a personal level and on a broader level. Let's say that the imprint is how the baby learned to survive. We remember that because of a survival kind of thing. The baby coped with the trauma using psychic defenses, okay, pin in the collar, okay, the symbol of your aliveness, okay, is a princess, and the princess is like Snow White in a coma, Rapunzel in the tower, The maiden king morphs into a swan and flies away. Earth opens up, Miss Core gets pulled down. Joy and Sadness and Inside Out 2 get zooped away. Okay, Faithful John, Iron John is in the cage with the golden ball. Where's the key? The key's on her mother's pillow. So that's one way to cope with the trauma. Now, the baby can't know the truth. Enter Twilight Zone. Need to know. He can't know. Enter Psychic Splitting. Denies mother hurts him and thinks mother's a goddess. Psychic Splitting. That leads to either or thinking. Jungle slogan thinking. Adversarial thinking. Oppositional thinking. Either or. Okay, and then in the healing journey, you got to update that. Key to yesterday. Hold on a second. Give me another second.
One place on earth relieves my teariness. The home and anchor for my soul. When light and hope are gone entirely, I'll go there for praying and gaining control. Bring me to the hayfield, to the place where I belong. Years have passed, tears are lost. All that's left is eternal trust. Bring me back where I belong. Bring me back where I belong.
So she wants to go to the hayfield so she feels safe. Okay. So, okay, next self-help little tip here is a discernment practice brings awareness to the present moment. Like there's, where I am here now, there's some fellows not too far from me, and the one is just like facing right at me kind of thing. It's not staring at me per se, but sometimes he's just looking right at me kind of thing. And I feel like my sympathetic system is getting more stressed like that, being stared at, not partially stared at, just off and on. And I feel like I feel like I'm thinking about fleeing, like I want to move my chair, go somewhere else. Or can I just soothe myself and not increase the level of cortisol to make me flee like that? Can I regulate myself thinking reasonably and not be triggered because the intimidating postures or gestures over there, which may or may not be kind of, which reminds me of some childhood bullying or something, can I discern that when you're triggered, you're dealing with old stuff? Things in the present can easily trigger old stuff. Can I remind that? Can I keep that in mind and calm down by that? That in the present I'm safe. Like in the present reality is there's no threat like that. But I'm feeling the past fears. And that's what's coming up. That's why when you're triggered, you get those cortisol like that. So I'm feeling like a little bit of that. So that's the kind of thing. You want to discern, and that helps you to make intentional choices rather than simply following an old pathway. So the old pathway would be for me to move, to escape, right? But I can pause here and discern. Wait a minute, There's no obvious threat like that. It's just kind of accidental or something, or just their demeanor like that. But it triggers a past thing, so I can discern. So what if somebody is a little, the way they are a little bit, but I don't know them, they don't know me, there's no issue, right? Or something like that. Okay, quote, in this moment, in this place, is this level of response necessary? So, is it really necessary? It's this moment, you're in the here and now. Do you really got to act like it's the past? Okay, so that's the self-help exercise. So in the here and now, do you really have to act like it's the past? And that's what I'm kind of dealing with in this moment here, right? When signals of danger threaten to overwhelm us, we move into the mobilized, highly charged energy of the sympathetic survival state. Yeah, once again, when you're triggered, that's called sympathetic. Okay, now let's move a little bit about the dorsal. So the dorsal is the spacing out one, the deer in the headlights one, and that's related to a nerve called the dorsal nerve. So the nerve, there's a nerve in us associated with making us feel absent-minded, not present, I'm not here, I feel not real, what's around me is not real, things like that. Okay, dorsal survival, deer in the headlights. Dorsal, you remember morsel? Okay, dorsal. So dorsal survival energy takes us out of awareness, out of connection, and out of the present time. We lose our sense of being anchored in the moment and feel untethered and in need of a lifeline to the present. When we experience this sense of drifting away, a lifeline gives us something dependable to hold on to. So take me to the hayfield. I want to go to the hayfield or the cornfield or your favorite natural spot in nature, your favorite tree, your favorite park or your favorite spot in the park, which serves as a kind of anchoring or a lifeline or grounding or something like that. A safe place. Being fully immersed in dorsal can bring a feeling of being lost and abandoned, adrift. We begin to feel depleted physically and emotionally. We feel the shift from the intensity of sympathetic energy to the disconnection of dorsal in our bodies, thoughts, feelings, behaviors. So in the sympathetic, you're all revved up. You're all revved up with no place to go. You're all revved up, charged up, right? But the revving up is too much. It might go over to dorsal. You know, some people do that. They say when they're revved up too much, they put themselves into dorsal with alcohol. So one way to put yourself into dorsal when you're too revved up is to drink alcohol. Now you're kind of like relaxed or something. Not relaxed, but you're indifferent. You're not here. So some people deliberately put themselves into dorsal because if they act out from their sympathetic place, it'll cause problems. So they don't want to cause problems, so they just blot out kind of for the time being. Survival states activate when there is a sense of danger and a need for protection. No matter how irrational survival actions may seem, the nervous system is always acting to ensure our safety by enacting a response based on past experiences. That's what you learned, right? You keep the memory because that was a survival thing and it's for your survival. The problem is the present isn't the past. But that's the positive intention. It worked in the past, so you use it all the time. And you're frozen like that. And you're always trigger. You're frozen like that. That's why it's dysfunctional. That's why it causes problems. And if you're all revved up in the present, it causes problems, so space out so you don't cause any more problems. Again, survival states activate when there is a sense of danger and a need for protection. No matter how irrational survival actions may seem, the nervous system is always acting to ensure our safety by enacting a response based on past experiences and utilizing the resources at hand. When we recognize what is activating these survival systems, become aware of how they are trying to protect us and appreciate these actions. A little self-empathy. So if you're all revved up, have a little compassion for yourself. As a child, you were revved up because you were trying to survive. But the present isn't the past, but some little thing reminds you of the past. So we can move out of self-criticism and blame and shame into understanding and self-compassion. Quote, okay, in the dorsal one, or the sympathetic one, say to yourself, quote, I see that my... Okay, let's do the sympathetic, okay. I see that my sympathetic system is acting in response to whatever. So the trigger, right? So in my example, there's some tough-looking characters not far from me, all that. I see that my sympathetic system is acting in response to what I see near me. Okay, so that calms you down a little bit. Okay? Because that's a trigger for the past. Or I feel my sympathetic system protecting me by revving me up to run or to fight or something. But they're not the bullies from the kindergarten. I don't even know, they're nothing, right? I mean, there's no. I'm feeling, and I'm using the strategy from the kindergarten, okay, in the schoolyard or something, the bullies and all that. And here's some people that look pretty tough or something. Doesn't mean they're the bullies in the schoolyard, but my body's like reacting like that. So you want to be mindful and discern this kind of thing. You want to have this kind of discerning practice and parse out the present as the present, okay, but the present might be some kind of reminder of the past, and you're feeling the past now. Can you discern that what you're feeling is from the past, nothing to do with the present? And you make those kind of discernments, and then you can calm down. And to a degree, I'm coping. I'm not fully regulated. I'm still a little midway like that. But okay, next one here. Okay, now do it with the dorsal. So if you're spaced out, if you're in the dorsal thing, then say to yourself, I see that my dorsal, remember morsel, okay, dorsal. I see that that's the disassociation deer in the headlights, okay. I see that the freeze response, right? The dorsal means the freeze response. So fight and flight means sympathetic, and the freeze, okay, is dorsal. Okay, I see that my dorsal system is acting in response to, okay, fill in the blank. So let me think back for myself. When I was in the park and I was spacing out a little bit, I was thinking about something in my life that was triggering of the past, and I was spacing out. So in that example, if I were back in the park, I say to myself, I see that my dorsal system is acting in response to my thoughts in the present, reminding me of something in the past. And that's why your dorsal system is acting up. Or I feel my dorsal system is protecting me by spacing out, because what I'm thinking about reminds me of the past and better space out. I mean, I did space out as a kid when there was a threat or something. Something reminded me of it, and I a little bit spaced out. We have a quote called school shark. The kids went to the school and they were daydreaming the whole time. That's dorsal. So if you're daydreaming in school, looking out the window, not paying attention to the lesson, not making notes, not asking questions, not following along, and you're just spacing out, get out of here, you want to get out of here, you're daydreaming, that's dorsal stuff. So the teacher said, oh, he has a learning disability. No, he doesn't have a learning disability. He's just he's just feeling a lot of stress at home, separation anxiety, stress at school, tough characters around maybe, being bullied or something. It's just too much, so he's spacing out. So the kid at school might be spacing out. And that's just a flood of stress. He can't flee, he can't fight, he's spacing out. He doesn't have a learning disability, he's just under too much stress at home and at school. You put it all together, he spaces out. So a lot of kids who are spacing out of school, it's just a combination of stress at home and the school environment. So ideally the school environment would be safe enough, you know. That's why it's legitimate that there's a huge focus to clamp down on the bullying activity, because a lot of kids space out in that environment like that. Now the bullying activity means those characters are extremely irrational. They're charged up, frozen in a sympathetic mode, fighting with the mother, and everybody's the mother, or everybody's them. If they find someone weak, then they think that's the mother, because the weakness is them, and when they're reminded of themselves, they're reminded of the mother. So people who are weak, they remind them of the aggressive mother, and they're fighting with the mother. Back to what she said, that there's a contempt for people who are weak, because if you see someone who's weak, that's your hatred towards your mother. So I think that's basically what's going on like that. So bullies hate weak people, quote unquote, because when they see, quote unquote, a wounded person, they click, there's their mother whom they hate, because they're talking about themselves. They felt weak and they identified with the aggressor. So their psychic structures, you got the belligerent, sadistic, aggressive, persecuting mother, and the crying, defective, wounded, in pain, really in pain child side. You got the two like that. So if they see someone who's disadvantaged, they project or see that split off wounded soul onto them, okay? And that clicks up the other one, the persecuting mother. So now they see the persecuting mother, now they see the other as the mother, and they hate their mother. So wounded people remind them of their mother, and they hate them like that. It's called prejudice like that. That's why a lot of bullies have an immense amount of prejudice towards vulnerable people and all that stuff. And she talks about that a bit here. Okay, next one here. The dorsal, okay, disassociation, freezing, deer in the headlights, rabbit in the headlights. Okay, the spacing out one, the freeze response, the dorsal. Okay, the dorsal survival state is the path of last resort. When all else fails, the nervous system moves into shutdown. Dorsal collapse rescues us from the overwhelming experience of sympathetic fight or flight and offers protection through disconnection, detachment. Okay, so dorsal is all about disconnection. I'm spaced out, I'm not connected. I'm in no way connected to you, I'm spacing out. Right? Because if you felt any kind of connection, it's too stressful. Did I get that right? The dorsal freeze response. Put it this way, the freeze response to stress, or quote, the dorsal survival state, is the path of last resort. When all else fails, baby can't run, baby can't fight, or the weaker, or the wounded kid in the schoolyard can't run, can't fight. When all else fails, and the bully's attacking him or something, and his bully's buddies jump in or something, and they got 10 bullies kicking a poor little kid on the ground or something with their steel-toed boots or whatever it is. I didn't know that. Did you know that the bullies carry these go to school with their construction boots with the steel toes in it, so they go? So sick, really sad. So they're psychotic. They're psychotic if they see anybody out there who's quote unquote vulnerable as their dangerous mother, and they're going to attack their mother, thinking the vulnerable person is their mother threatening them, and they're going to attack them. That's the bullying phenomenon. They're sick. They're psychotic like that. Secret psychotic, they call it. Okay. The paranoid state, secret psychotic state. So this whole issue with the bullies, they're very traumatized. But remember, you got to think about it, that they're in sympathetic mode. But why are they in such revved up sympathetic mode? You see. I guess the mother must have traumatized them so much to keep them frozen in that sympathetic state. But they weren't traumatized beyond that to put him in the dorsal mode. So ironically, the bully might be a little bit at a slight advantage for themselves because they didn't cross over to dorsal. All they got to do is learn to soothe themselves, forgive the mother, and they might have a chance like that. The dorsal one, they got to face. They got that extra step to take or something. Again, where are we here? Did I get that right? The dorsal survival state, or the freeze response, is the path of last resort when all else fails. When all else fails, the nervous system moves in. Oh. Oh, they're leaving so quickly, huh? They could have sat at a more nicer private spot or something, right? They kind of just sat just not too far from me. Now they're leaving, kind of. If they were uncomfortable in my presence, why don't they find some other spot? Now there are several nicer spots around. Okay, enough of this. Now I'm feeling guilty that I bothered them. So now I'm triggered. Did I do something wrong? Did I disappoint somebody? Now I'm feeling guilty. Man, oh man, I need analysis. I really would love to do an analysis for myself. I would love to have that chance. Play Joni Mitchell's song, This Flight Tonight, made popular by Dan McCafferty. This Flight Tonight. If I had the funds, I'd be on This Flight Tonight. Do I have it here? Hold on a sec. For Pete's sakes. If this thing is so sensitive, you touch it and the song comes up. Oh, for Pete's sakes. This Flight Tonight? No? I don't have it here. Okay, hang on. If I had the funds, I'd look for somebody like Burglar or Karen Horney or Masterson, you know, and do a full analysis. This Flight Tonight. This Flight Tonight. All right. Okay, here's Dan McCafferty.
Disco. Jetzt wieder zurück ins Studio. Ich glaube, ein Titel von den Nazareth darf nicht fehlen. This Flight Tonight.
So let's continue with the three nerves. So here's another 3-point model. Sometimes they do these videos in a park, and there's like a little pyramid thing, and it got 3 points, and I've been using it as a visual aid for a variety of 3-point little models that we have already. So maybe we can add a new one. Okay, you got the ventral, that'd be the gold one, and the two, the lower two. So you got the higher one, that's the more human one. You got the animal one, let's say, and you got the two on the side there. So imagine a pyramid on the 2 points at the bottom, or a triangle, and the 2 points at the bottom would be the sympathetic and the dorsal. So you don't want to be judgmental about it. Don't like, one's better or worse. So just try to be objective. So you got the sympathetic and the dorsal. So the sympathetic is the fight or flight, stress. So shallow breathing. If you got shallow breathing, and you got the heart math issues whacked, and you sweat easily, or hyper body tension, hyper armor like that, or hyper vigilant, and just always alert and all that stuff like that, I guess. Okay, or the collapsed one where it's just too much, and you went into another survival strategy called the dorsal. So the dorsal, that's the freeze one, and the sympathetic is the fight or flight one. Okay, and they're both stress responses, so they're both part of the old brain, the old system. Okay, just like that. And the top one at the pyramid, that's the healthy one called the ventral. Zen and central. You want Zen to be central. Okay, ventral. Yeah, so this flight tonight, if I had the funds, I'd be on this flight tonight and do a full analysis and show you and speak to you more from a ventral place, not from a combination of sympathetic and dorsal. So what you're seeing here is mostly sympathetic and dorsal. The spacing out quality you might see in me, that's the dorsal, and the stress part that you might see in me, that's the sympathetic one. And in the moments when you might see me in a calm, easygoing, friendly way, warm way, that might be the ventral, moments of ventral. We're mainly meant to operate mainly from the ventral, if possible always from the ventral, and the other two are just kind of in the background like that, and doing its healthy thing. Okay, back to this one here. All right, where are we here? In a dorsal survival response, we feel a sense of lifelessness. Okay, so when you're disassociated, okay, you feel a sense of lifelessness. You're not really alive. You're spaced out. Okay. Energy is needed. Energy is needed to begin to feel alive again. The return of energy must come a drop at a time, and not in an overwhelming flood. Too much, too quickly, and we stay stuck in the shutdown mode. So don't push yourself. If you're spaced out, don't push yourself. Don't do some intense thing or something. Movement is a reliable way to begin to return to regulation. The goal is to find a movement that uses a small amount of energy and then to build on that. Okay, that's where Qigong is helpful. Tai Chi and Qigong, gentle flowing movements, and you might start getting energy back. Amazing, right? You're spaced out, you're numbed out or something. Just do some gentle movements, mindful movements. Just do some the ball one, I think, or just some kind of flowing kind of gestures, water movements, I guess. Be like water, and then you might get more energy back. So just gently do that kind of thing. So that's just sort of a self-soothing idea, I think, for the time being. Or if you can practice it regularly. It's good for your health, obviously. But it doesn't change psychic structure. But maybe you can wire in an acceptance that it's okay to be calm. So maybe you do change psychic structure with that, creating a new habit. So maybe it is worthwhile to have a regular practice of mindful movements. And, 3 times a week you do a Tai Chi routine. 108. What is it? 108 steps or something. But don't do it all at one time. Just it's all very measured, I guess. You want to do both. You want to find your story and do some self-soothing things. If you only do self-soothing things without consciousness, it won't work, really. You got to get conscious. You got to narrativize your trauma. You got to narrativize your trauma. These other self-help things just make you feel a little better in a moment, and they're fine like that. But don't expect it to erase your trauma. The only way to quote-unquote erase your trauma is to narrativize your story. So you got to find your story by the talking cure. It's called the talking cure. These guys don't do the talking cure. Now, if you don't want to do the talking cure, you can focus on this kind of stuff, you know. Okay, where are we here? Thoughts and feelings in the dorsal state are ones of disconnection. We may feel numb and empty, and actions come from a place of being drained. So you might feel tired, drained, numb and empty, something like that. We are stuck in a survival story, and the world feels out of focus. Oh yeah, things are not clear, right? So let's talk about the ventral a little bit. Well, it's possible we may have moments of ventral experience. Let's call them glimmers. Okay, glimmers are the micro moments of ventral experience that routinely appear in everyday life, yet frequently go unnoticed. That's if you have the psychic structure for it. She's assuming you have the psychic structure for it. See, here's where a con might be taking place. Here's where they don't talk about psychic structure. If you have the psychic structure to enjoy the moment or something and feel the ventral fine, then something in nature or a soothing sound or friendly place, you know, fine. I see a stray cat, I might like to, you know, those are fine. But some people go to beautiful places and still feel stressed. Right? That's the famous quote where the aggressive guy said, "Oh, I seen one tree, seen them all, who cares?" So he cannot have, it's there, but he doesn't have the psychic structure to enjoy nature. I don't care, I seen one tree, seen them all. So these guys don't talk about that kind of thing. Okay, so the brain is wired to pay attention to negative events. So if there's trauma, then we're more wired to pay attention to negative events than to positive ones. Okay, but when we learn to notice glimmers, we find that they are all around us, and we begin to look for them more. Okay, so maybe a person can slow down, pause, and pay attention to the flower, smell the flower. I see one flower, I've seen them all. You smelt one flower, you smelt them all. Well, pause a little longer. Maybe he gets irritated. I don't know. Okay, next self-help tip. Consider what was different about this day. You might notice a slightly less intense response to an event or an easier recovery to regulation. You might recognize a different kind of response, sympathetic mobilization instead of a dorsal collapse, or a moment of ventral connection instead of a survival response. So if you're normally spaced out, do you notice maybe one day you were a little more assertive, or you spoke out your voice or something? Or if you're normally too revved up, maybe you did manage a ventral moment. She takes the premise that people who don't have the psychic structure, who don't have a sense of beingness, can express ventral. I don't buy that. You can only express ventral if you have a sense of identity for it. I feel ventral. It's like I feel joy. There's an I there. You can't feel joy, or ventral means joy. You can't feel joy if there's no I. So I think there's a little dodgy thing here going on. This kind of thing. So this will be updated. 30% of what you're hearing is wrong. It's up to you to figure out which 30%. That's Robert Bly says that in the audience. Okay, next self-help tip here, or possible self-help tip. Oh, she talks about the size. Okay, notice there are 3 kinds of size. If you're in the dorsal state, where you're spaced out, your sigh will be a kind of a sigh of despair. Oh my God. If you're in a sympathetic place, your sigh is kind of, there's like a frustration tone to it. If you feel a genuine relief, that might be the ventral place. So she claims there are 3 different types of sighs. Sighs of despair, ventral, a sigh of frustration, frustration, or a sign of relief. Relief. That's the ventral. So maybe you can get a ventral moment. So in those ventral moments, in those glimmer moments, that may be a glimpse of your real self. Okay, if you can get a ventral moment, that might be a glimmer of your real self. You might have a glimmer of where you're meant to be normally. It goes away, you're back in the stress mode. That's because your mother freaked out in your mind and the Minotaur gobbled you up. So you tried to feel ventral and your mother attacked you and it went away, you went back. That's why you gotta face the mother complex. You gotta be Perseus and Theseus, discussed yesterday and in most of the videos. Okay, when we reflect on the day through the lens of our nervous system, we can recognize ventral. Okay, so Zen, central. Put it together. Change the Z to a V. Put it together. Zentral, ventral. Okay. When we reflect on the day through the lens of our nervous system, we can recognize ventral. Oh, simply rhymes with central. Oh my God. Oh, for Pete's sakes. The spelling is different, right? Central. No, central, ventral. Okay, whatever. Number 2, sympathetic. Sympathetic. Oh, sympathetic. Is it sympathetic? Not sympathy, just sympathetic. Am I mispronouncing this? Parasympathetic. Sympathetic. I think it's sympathetic. And the dorsal. That's the spaced out one. The morsel. Think about morsel like a little spaced out. And see that the general flavor of your day is the result of the combination of each. So your flavor of the day is kind of like a combination of the 3. So draw a pie chart. How much was ventral? How much was sympathetic? How much was dorsal? And how was your day? Maybe another day in the pie chart you had maybe a little more ventral, or maybe. Okay, if you don't have ventral, and you're not in sympathetic, and you're not in dorsal, then you might be just in a calm place of restoration called the parasympathetic. So, if the ventral's not there, and you're not necessarily triggered, and you're not spaced out, then you might be in restoration mode. That's called the parasympathetic. So the parasympathetic is like when you're sleeping, you're resting, and you're restoring or something. Rest and restoration. So that's a pleasant feeling like that. But that's not ventral. Ventral is from the authentic self. So if you're not feeling all revved up, and you're not spaced out, you might just be in a pleasant feeling of regeneration. Just general bodily regeneration of rest and relaxation. That's the parasympathetic. That's actually the 4th one. She only talks about 3, but I think that might be the. I'm just guessing here. That might be the 4th one, if there is a 4th one. Healthy, automatic homeostasis. Oh, here comes the rain. All right. It's gonna rain pretty soon here. All right. Healthy, automatic homeostasis depends on the presence of ventral energy to oversee the system, so that the sympathetic and the dorsal states can perform their regulating roles in the background. So sympathetic and dorsal are backstage. You want the car to be driven by ventral, and you want the other ones to be in the back seat. That means your authentic self, your beingness runs the show. Okay, imagery is a way to bring the sense of ventral management into active awareness. Okay, so one little self-help trick is to imagine the ventral state as an open umbrella. Imagine an umbrella, it's open. Okay, this means you're going to keep your sympathetic and your dorsal states safe and dry because you got the umbrella. So the umbrella keeps the other ones safe and dry. But if the umbrella is blown inside out, gets that sympathetic, or the umbrella is closed, that's the dorsal, then ventral is no longer able to regulate your automatic system, and your sympathetic and dorsal survival states take over. So we're meant to have the umbrella. If there's too much stress, the umbrella might be blown apart kind of thing. It's sympathetic, you're all revved up. Or you don't even bother with that, just keep the thing closed and shut down. All right, next one. Poetry, haiku. If you want to capture moments of those three, haiku is effective at capturing a moment in time with just a few words. So you got 3 lines, 5, 7, 5, right? 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. For example, walking by the sea. Oh, walking by the sea. There's 5, right? Walking by, so here's one for ventral. Walking by the sea. The sand and waves nourish me. There's 7. I am filled with peace. All right, so 5, 7, 5. Walking by the sea. The sand and waves nourish me. I am filled with peace. Okay, that's meant to be that's considered a ventral thing. Now, when we say peace means your embodiment for it. If you're calm, but it's not ventral, that's parasympathetic. You're just resting. That's my understanding of the difference between parasympathetic and ventral. Because the bully might say that. The bully can walk on the sea and feel calm or something. Yeah, I'm a peace man. I'm a peace man. Okay, the bully's just resting a little bit. That's parasympathetic. That's not the ventral. There's a different quality of ventral, of your beingness, of home within quality. The blue jay and the bluebird, the pleasant, peaceful feeling. Okay, the serene, inexhaustible fullness of being. You need the beingness, then the ventral is there. The beingness, then the ventral. If you're just recouping, okay, that's parasympathetic mode. So that's my understanding of it. Okay, another self-help exercise. You can choose objects to represent these 3 states. Notice the characteristics that drew you to each object. So when I saw that yesterday, I just quickly tried it myself. All right, so what would be the symbol of the symbol of the ventral? My first thought was I'm not sure what they called, but some kind of like a jelly thing in a plastic container, and it kind of molds or something. Not putty, but some kind of gel in a plastic thing, and it can be smooth, and it can mold it, and you can squeeze it can mold it. It seemed like a flowing kind of. I thought of that as ventral. Okay, then the sympathetic, I thought, well, I don't want to get too tricky here, but the pine cone can be a little prickly, right? The pine cone. So the pine cone, if you squeeze it a little, maybe a little ouch, a little prickly. But I like the pine cone because it connects you to nature, and you got the tree and you got the pine, so it can help you like that. So I don't want to be triggered by the symbol, so I chose the pine cone. And what about the dorsal, the spacey out one? So you just grab a bunch of dry leaves, and in your hand you got a bunch of dry leaves. I thought that was dorsal. So you got a scoop full of dry leaves, you got the pine cone, and you got this moldy kids putty like jelly kind of toy. And that reminded me of the TV show Inside Out, not Inside Out, In Treatment. The opening credits to In Treatment, they had this little kind of like a pendulum thing of water in a pendulum thing, and it was doing this flowing kind of thing. And you'd watch the opening credits and you'd see this little flowing kind of thing. So they were trying to calm me down in the ventral mode, and we're trying to get the ventral mode. So that reminded me of that as well, right? Afterwards. Oh, can we dig it up? I wonder. Let's try this. Let's try it. Let's see if I can find an opening sequence for In Treatment. I haven't seen that show in ages. My God, In Treatment. In Treatment. Trailer, episode 1. Let's do episode 1. Episode 1. Do we have the opening thing? No. Where's the opening podcast? What about just theme or something? In season theme? Theme song? Opening, hang on, opening. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, look at that, yeah. Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about, the ventral, right? In the TV show In Treatment, they had this kind of flowing kind of thing. That's not what I had in mind, though. They had this like little. That's not the one actually. That's a little too fast. They had a slower one, like a little toy kind of. Oh, they changed it later on, didn't they? That's not it. Okay, let me look for it. I'll look for it later. Opening. What about this one? Oh, nothing there. Oh, it's just a picture. Oh, it's just a picture of the guy. Okay, whatever. Anyways, there's like a little toy that looks like a pendulum. Instead of a ball, it's kind of horizontal, and it moves up and down, and there's water in it, and it kind of has this flowing kind of thing. So that might be like a ventral, peaceful thing. This flight tonight. Paul Penna, jet airliner, the original. So did you know Steve Miller? That's a cover. What Steve Miller does is only a cover. The original was Paul Penna. He was a disabled young man, 20 years old.
Riding along this big jet plane. First of August, Lord, I said I'd be there, but I couldn't seem to quite get it down. 'Cause I'm going with some hesitation. I'd like to go and make my way. But there's so many people, Lord, to talk to, and a whole lot of debts to pay. Oh, big old debt and ladder. Don't carry too far away. Oh, big old debt and ladder. 'Cause it's here that I've got to stay. Back to old friends at home. Goodbye to Willie, friend and trusty. I've got to go out and make my way. I might get rich, I might get busted. But I'm Lord, there's so many things to clean up. Got to make my way clear before me. But I don't want to get mixed up. Getting out that funky shit that's gone down before me. Ooh, big old dead ladder. Don't carry too far away. Big old dead ladder. 'Cause it's here that I've got to stay. They're trying to pull me away. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Big old dead ladder. Don't carry too far away. Big old dead ladder. 'Cause it's California where I've got to stay.
That's the original. Young, 19 years old, disabled, blind, all that. He wrote it in 73. They buried it, unreleased. A couple of years later, Steve Miller got it, made him a star and all this. All right. He put out 2 albums, 71 and 73. At the very least, he could have been a one-hit wonder with that song. He had a potential to be like kind of like the Jimi Hendrix of blues or something. So a big mystery around what unfair treatment he received. Anyways, talked about it a couple of times in the past. Okay, now let's quickly run through today's batch. So what I did with what I just did was sort of like a preview. Now let me zip through today's one. Okay, so now let's begin here. Only 3, a lighter load for this one. So let's begin. 30-34. So in each moment you want to notice how much ventral, how much sympathetic, and how much dorsal is taking place. So you want to, that helps to soothe yourself a little bit. Because you're witnessing yourself, you're seeing yourself. Oh, that means you're in the present. If you can see yourself, that means you're more in the present. Then you're discerning. You're discerning. If you're not observing yourself, you're operating from the past. So the more you can observe yourself, that'll be a soothing kind of activity. Because you're not in the past, you might calm down. The more you realize you're in the present, you'll calm down right down there. Okay, first one here, repetition compulsion, a major thread in our collection. Repetition compulsion. The repetition compulsion takes on characteristics of an autonomous entity, subjugating all other mental functions and possessing the person, as it were. Long ago in ancient times, somebody said, "Yeah, I'm possessed. Why am I doing the same thing over and over? Am I possessed?" Well, well, you have a lens, and you see everything through the lens again and again. That's all it is. Or we repeat, reenact because of the pain we're in, hoping for a better past. That's not going to work. So you repeat to observe your repetition and interpret it so you can know the past. Some theorists have suggested that this compulsion to repeat is perhaps behind all these superstitions about being possessed and all that. Okay, we just said that. Okay, suffering and trauma are not prerequisites for self-taught creativity. So you don't need to be traumatized or neurotic to be an artist or something. That's nonsense. Many individuals labeled as outsider artists didn't begin to create because of suffering or adversity. I heard that from Pat Benatar. She said I had a normal upper middle class family in Connecticut and all that. I had a lot of benefits. I just enjoy the music. I'm not doing it out of some neurotic compulsion. So Pat Benatar seems to be kind of a calm, likable singer like that. We play her song called Hell is for Children, promoting awareness that when children are traumatized, they think that pain is love, when love and pain are the same. They mix it up, part of the trauma. Okay, this quote is mainly about this thing called outsider art, and this quote is mainly from a fellow who talks about art, but he quotes someone else who's familiar with trauma. That's what this is. So these quote-unquote outsider artists, they're not part of they didn't go to school. They're self-taught. No one taught them how to paint or do art. They just do it spontaneously because they want to have some representation or some admission of their trauma. They're trying to get in touch with the trauma, so they create an art to validate and know that there's trauma. Outsider art. Okay, so about the trauma part, a lot of artists are trying to work out their trauma. Okay, for example, Judith Herman lists hyperarousal. So that's the sympathetic, right? Intrusion. Okay, your past interposes itself into the present. It intrudes in the present. Okay, because you're hyperaroused, the past is going to be seen in the present. That's the intrusion part. And the constriction is the dorsal. You're going to space out, you're constricted. So hyperarousal, intrusion, that's the sympathetic. And the constriction is the disassociation, that's the dorsal, sympathetic and dorsal. So these are symptoms of trauma. These are preeminent symptoms of trauma. So she describes the sympathetic as hyperarousal, all revved up, and being triggered, called intrusion, where the past intrudes itself into the present. Between you and the present, the past intrudes it. Okay, hyperarousal refers to a heightened sensitivity. I'll talk about umbrellas, huh? Let's get out the symbol of the ventral. I don't want to get water drops in this phone here. So let's get out the ventral. So this the closed umbrella, for analogy, well, that's everything shut down. It's closed. You're avoiding. You're detached. You're not involved. That's called the dorsal. But if the umbrella is broken, blown apart by the wind, that's sympathetic. But if it keeps you dry, it's shielding you, safe, that's the ventral. Oh, I really should get a higher end umbrella, the ones where you just press the button and it opens up automatically. I've got this really simple budget one. Hold a second. Oh, here we go. Actually, they have an umbrella here. Well, they don't got the base part. Okay. I gotta drag it over. Let's try this then. Okay. So hyperarousal refers, it's not even working, I do it like this. How do I, oh, okay, let's do this. Okay, I need a, is that gonna work like this? And I block the rain here? All right. Hyperarousal refers to a heightened sensitivity to any stimuli that, through associations, conscious and unconscious, may trigger the reoccurrence of the body's physiological response to the original traumatic experience. That's sympathetic, right? Intrusion. This unsettling feature of trauma results from the inability of the brain to process and integrate the traumatic experience. Instead, it inputs or interposes itself or intrudes itself. It inputs the information into the present. Constriction, that's the dorsal, right? Okay, so hyperarousal, sympathetic, because you're trying to process the past. You're trying to know the past. And that's survival of the past. It's dysfunctional because the present isn't the past, but the amygdala doesn't know time. So any little thing that reminds you of the past, you're going to use the past response. So you're always stressed like that. Everything's like constantly reminding you. So you're in pretty much constant hyper-aroused state because the past is always intruding itself in the present, and you're aroused, and then like that. Okay, that's a sympathetic one. Okay, the dorsal one she calls constriction. Constriction refers to the paralyzing effect that the intrusion of the traumatic experience can have on the victim, causing a psychic disassociation that defensively shields the person from harm. This disassociative, again, dorsal response to trauma is protective, cutting off threats by numbing the person into a trance-like state. So you're trying to escape, you're escaping in the mind. You can't escape in the body, so escape in the mind, you're trying to get away. So how do you flee when you can't flee? How do you escape when there's no escape? Well, you do it in the mind. That's she calls that the I don't know why she calls it constriction. A little confusing term here. It means you're constricted. You got no. That's like the final path. Okay, hang on. Stop raining. All right. Oh, it's just a few drops. Huh? All right. Okay, next one. This, okay, however, this response makes later reintegration and mastery of the experience difficult because it effectively fragments the psyche, storing the memory of the experience in a form inaccessible to the conscious mind. The tension between intrusion and constriction in the mind of the trauma victim creates what she calls a dialectic of trauma. This kind of like back and forth, right? You're triggered, you space out. Triggered, you space out. Or you're triggered and you're hypervigilant. You're triggered, you're hypervigilant. This kind of back and forth like that. Again, another confusing term. Why, it's not really a dialect. Why do you call it that? See, her terms aren't too helpful, I think. In this view, the contradictory psychic states of the hyper-arousal, they're always doing these. Authors are always trying to create new terms to be important, to get status. 99% of the time, it doesn't fit. It's nonsense. Yeah, so she's doing the same thing here. Where are we here? So instead of saying embodiment, Mr. Jung would say, your anima for the man, animus for the woman. Oh, for peace. Just say embodiment. Just say sense of beingness. Say at home with them. No, it's the anima. The anima. What's that? Well, it's Latin for soul. Oh, for Pete's sakes. Okay. Ego self-access. So if you're conscious of your authentic self, okay, that'd be the ventral. That'd be the ventral. Go over here. Artistic creation, however, is theorized by many contemporary art therapists. As theorized by contemporary art therapists. Again, artistic creation, however, as theorized by therapists, may present a method of bypassing the defense mechanisms of the mind to directly access the unconscious. Okay, so you just freely, like free association, say what comes to mind, just paint what you freely want to paint. Yeah, that episode in the Beyond, what is it? That TV show. What's that TV show called again? Beyond the. That TV show I played earlier, whatever it's called, they have another episode about the police officer. Their closing narration was that they didn't tell you about the fusion, the symbiosis, and the merging. They just said, well, police departments are using hypnosis to bring up material. So that was their way to make it something accessible to the public and not go too deep with what you saw. So what you saw was a deeper thing, and what he explained was, well, detectives at the police department bring people in, they don't remember, so let's do hypnosis. Maybe they remember under hypnosis. But he didn't do hypnosis. That police officer didn't do any kind of hypnosis, but he was able to get access the unconscious of the other person in his way. In the Twilight Zone, they do something similar. The Twilight Zone is a bit better. Their closing narration is a little more direct with what you saw, right? In Gabe's story, it was like, sometimes we can grab the pen and write our own script instead of being dominated by the script we drew in the past. Maybe we can pick up the pen and write our own script, things like that. Or in One Life, Furnished in Early Emotional Poverty. That's one of the best closing narrations of the Twilight Zone, is that one there. About the bittersweet one, the time travel one. Your mother's not going to tell you she used you and hurt you. Isn't it bittersweet? You're still trying to save her. She's not going to help you like that. And you decided things with the trauma, so in effect, you're the master of your fate. If you decided that, that's quite a secret, isn't it, that you did that? If you can understand that secret, you're the master of your fate now, aren't you? You're the captain of your soul. You decided this, so you're the agent, you're the captain. You did these things to survive. That means you're like a leader like that. So keep that attitude in mind. Keep that positive perspective about yourself. We cope with trauma, so we're the captain of our soul. Yes, we had to exile our soul because of trauma, but we did it. So we're the captain of our soul. We protected ourselves from the abuse of other. We did something. Now we got to look at it and update it and realize we're not in the nursery anymore. Where are we here? Artistic creation, however, as theorized by contemporary art therapists, may present a method of bypassing the defense mechanisms of the mind to directly access the unconscious. Basically, free association using a paintbrush. or like how children play freely sometimes. Fundamentally unrepresentable. Trauma can, however, be artistically expressed in a manner meaningful to the victim. So he might find it meaningful. Other people may not relate to it, or they may or may not, we don't know, but the artist relates to it somehow. The repetition of the traumatic experience through art is not a reenactment of the past, but opens up the possibility of renewal through an imaginative reshaping of the victim's world, changing it from one haunted by past experiences to one in which the past is accepted and carried forth into the future. Yeah, that's a good line, yeah. That's a positive line, right? Now, if by chance you are triggered by drawing your trauma, then of course stop. Or if you're free associating, you're getting too triggered, you're getting too flooded, of course stop. But when you're doing art, there's enough of a gap there. You're bypassing your defenses, you're slipping it through, kind of thing. Now you found a safe way to face your trauma, and now you're representing it. It's not haunting you so much. You got it out somehow. It's like an insight. Somebody shrink gives you an insight. Oh, okay, helps you a little bit. Or you read a quote and you get an insight. Similar idea. Yeah. So you're trying to identify your past and process it, assimilate it, mentalize it, represent it, formulate it, understand it, see it, whatever. So art is sort of in that category. You're not usually being re-traumatized. The creation of art as the external expression of internal forces doesn't guarantee any inherent therapeutic value. Although in some instances, the impact of trauma on the art of certain individuals. Although in some instances, the impact of trauma on the art of certain individuals and the therapeutic value of art making is clear and verifiable. Okay, so there's evidence that it's helpful, but no guarantee. Okay. One well-known person regarded the mandala as an expression of completeness, wholeness. So the self, if we're complete, the mandala is like a symbolic representation of healing and wholeness, 360-degree personality. Those mandalas look pretty complete like that. Nice like a square with it's all contained and all that stuff. Could be a circle, could be a square, triangle, whatever. A lot of little details in it, so it's inclusive. So artists might draw mandalas, meaning they're looking for harmony, stability, psychic equilibrium. They're looking for wholeness and completeness. So the mandala is like what you're looking for, kind of thing. Emotional trauma persists when individuals feel powerless and unable to take action against crisis and suffering. The act of creating material objects not only may convey unspeakable emotions and conflicts, but it is one way to regain a feeling of control over one's life and of these overwhelming emotions. Moreover, the sense of increased self-esteem and the recognition that may result from creating things can help offset feelings of loss, loneliness, despair. Okay, so some artists who get some fame and recognition, they get the benefit of the social connection, the money, things like that. But usually it's for themselves. So he was talking about the outsider art thing, that these quote outsider artists, they're drawing things and they're displaying it, and people are showing up at museums to watch it. Some of them are getting money. There are a few famous ones. There's maybe some uncanniness about it. They have no training, but they produce something. They're trying to create something that represents something inside, some trauma inside, but we don't know it, we can't see it, we can't talk about it, it's invisible. I saw one, it was like it did have a kind of a, it did feel like that the person, some woman was very depressed or something, and she drew like a bicycle, one lonely, simple, basic bicycle leaning on a wall. It was all grayish and blackish like that. And you got this lonely little half-functioning bicycle leaning on the wall. It did have that kind of feeling of sadness and loneliness, and the black and the gray and the despair and the loneliness like that. I saw that painting. Yeah, okay, that person. Or the painting Nighthawks. Nighthawks. So let us say somebody drew that painting Nighthawk. The Nighthawks, right? The guy's in the cafe, it's 3 in the morning, lonely. Okay, he's alone in the 24-hour diner. Okay, the dishwasher's doing his thing. There's a couple in the background, but he's all alone in the diner at 3 in the morning. Like, so it did seem like he was brooding about something, lonely about something. So the artist would say, yeah, I feel lonely, maybe like that. That guy was a professional artist, but it could have been an amateur artist. So outsider artist is done by amateur artists, right? But not all amateur artists are dealing with trauma. There could be like, now let's play Pat Benatar. See, I don't see her as really being too neurotic or something. She seems kind of like relaxed and easygoing. Pat Benatar, right? But I liked how she wants to help raise awareness of the mistreatment of children. So she says in every concert, she's going to play the song "Hell is for Children." Let me take it up here. Let's play the one in France. There's a live one she did in France. Let's play that one. See if I can find it here. Is that the one? 1980. This is my favorite live version of it. So she says she wants to raise awareness of child abuse like that. We talk about emotional. She's talking about the physical. But anyways, here it is here. sympathetic nerves here. The sympathetic nervous system, the stress, the adrenaline, the rage, the anger, the stress, the hyperarousal. Sympathetic nerves. Okay, the fight response to stress is sympathetic. She's angry. That's the fight mode, right? Okay, this calms it down a little bit. Back to sympathetic. Hyperarousal, all revved up. So that's a very sympathetic. That's a song sort of in the sympathetic area. Yeah, I forgot about that. She did mention that in the book there. You can think of songs sort of in these three modes. Some songs have like a the revved up stuff. So a lot of rock would be like that. Heavy metal is all sympathetic. Heavy metal, obviously, right? So new age maybe, or ambient, or pleasant songs. Songs like I Can See Clearly Now the Rain Is Gone. A song like that would be the ventral. If you're happy and you're calm, that's the ventral. If you're angry, like that song, that's the sympathetic. Okay. Now songs that are too airy and dreamy, that might be the dorsal. Yeah. So a lot of new age or space, they even call it space music, right? Ambient space. A lot of that's probably maybe the dorsal area, dreamy, floating. Where am I? Just escape kind of thing. Okay, the rock is the sympathetic, and pop songs of encouragement and positivity, and I Can See Clearly Now. That would be more like the ventral kind of thing. So we need more ventral songs, right? But a lot of people do have sympathetic, so we got to express that. So just like the images. Like the putty thing, the jelly in the, what do you call those jelly in the, some kind of jelly thing that can flow, the prickly pine cone, and just a handful of dried leaves or something. Okay, just spacey like that. Let's check the battery. How are we doing here? Okay, let's check the battery. Hold on a sec. 40%, 5:43. Oh, it's gonna get dark. Okay, we'll close up in 5 or 10. Yeah, let's close up in about 5 minutes then. Okay, let's see what's coming up in the next video here. So that was 34. Let's see what 35. What's this one? What's this one again? Okay, this is just a good solid kind of a an overview of the mother being narcissistic and how you cope with it. Is this the 1921? We have a quote in here from 1921 or something. I think this might be the one. Okay, a little bit about the inner critic, a little bit about shame. This is the shame, mostly about shame. Okay, shame is a burning, biting feeling, right? So the symbol, the personified symbol for it. So if you were an artist, and you wanted to draw something that reflected your shame, you might draw a picture of hell. Hell is a metaphor or a picture or a symbol or an artistic display. It's not real, but it points to something invisible that's real. So shame is a burning, biting feeling, hence hell being like that. So children are shamed, and the rage part, shame and rage are kind of linked. And mothers who feel shame, they want to have a child around to contain and hold the shame for them as a sponge, so they don't see it within. So they need someone around to feel shame, and they want to see voyeuristically, proxy, externalize. They want to see it. That makes them unaware that's within. So some mothers have a kid in order to shame so they don't feel shame. It's a perverse thing to make them unaware that they feel shame if they shame the child. It's kind of sad like that, right? So in her mind, she got a shamed self and the aggressive mother. She wants to be the aggressive mother and wants to split off and not know the shamed self, so she has a child there to see it. And it's split like that. And yeah, that was with the miser. The miser was doing that recently. The miser in his mind had the cruel parent and the suffering child. So misers make everyone else suffer and they identify with the cruel one. All the family members of the miser feel suffering like that. So mother deprived him, he becomes a depriving mother, he has a deprived self, gave the kids and the wife and all that, they're going to be deprived. So he's seeing and projecting or wanting to attribute his shame, deprived self onto the family members and see it like that. And he plays the mother side of refusing himself, so he refuses others to make him unaware that he's refusing himself. It's repressed. When something's repressed, he projects it. Yeah, that quote about the miser, that is very similar to this. Okay? So the miser, identified with the refusing, stingy mother, let's say, the depriving, shameful mother, and he felt shame to deprive. So in his mind, he's got a memory, self-deprived, mother depriving, two in there like that, right? So to not feel the pain of being shamed, he becomes the shamer in a mechanism known as the Faustian deal, the Faustian bargain, the Faustian pact, the Faust complex, the Faustian complex called identification with the aggressor. It's a way to cope with the pain if you become the abuser. And instead of just being abused by the mother, you abuse yourself. At least you have some agency, you have some identity, you make things happen because babies think they make everything happen. It's attachment theory, that's their link to the mother. So to have a mother, they got to shame themselves, hence the Faustian deal. So the setup like that means in order to not feel that they're shaming themselves, they need someone else out there. So if the miser wants to marry a woman and have kids to deprive, he'll treat the wife and the kids as his shamed, no good self. And he'll be the depriving, miser, stingy character. And that's a setup like that. And then the family members say, it's so difficult having such a miser husband. Well, he has a money neurosis. He's using money in his identification to the aggressor. When you transfer your trauma, your childhood trauma, into the realm of money, it's called the money neurosis. So we did that. We did a few videos on that recently. Check out Edmund Berger's 1951 book on the topic. How are we doing here? Still sweaty. Look at that, I'm still sweating. I figure it's a small price to pay. I'm not sure if I were a viewer and I didn't know me, and someone's watching me. This guy's sweating, he's not too handsome, he stutters a lot, he shakes a lot of anxiety, he's not a smooth speaker, geez, he hasn't been analyzed, no one analyzed him, he's not a counselor or a therapist. Why should I listen to him? How can he help me? So I get it. So focus on the quotes, click the more link, you'll get the quotes below, and that's your mission. Now that's the opportunity to get these. I want to get the quotes out. I'm kind of focused on that kind of area, because a lot of these quotes are getting harder and harder to find. A lot of books are being withdrawn, removed, unavailable. Digital libraries are under attack constantly, and printed books are getting harder and harder to find. The shipping fees go through the roof, unavailable. Some books are no longer around. I couldn't find. Still to this day, I'm keeping an eye out for any kind of rare copy of an old psychology, psychoanalysis book. It hasn't been. Many books have not been digitalized. Many which are hard to find now, kind of thing. So I'm trying to catch and preserve the best that I can find in one source. So I'm posting 10,000 with the hope that 10%. It seems to be the 90-10 rule, that if you post in business, somebody said if a business person has 10 ideas, one might work. If a musician puts out 10 songs on a CD, maybe one will be a hit or something like that. It seems to fit here. So when we post 10 quotes, okay, hopefully one will be of help like that. Like that burglar book, it wasn't digitized. It only recently got digitized, and I couldn't find a printed copy of it. So luckily it did get digitized. Luckily, but if that gets removed, that's an excellent book, by burglar. That one of Janoff's last books, the Janoff Solution, unavailable. He self-published it. That publishing company went under. I think there's one. I think I saw one printed copy. It cost a fortune. Forget it, kind of thing. So things like that. So I'm trying to save as best I can. We play that Pat Benatar song. Links to the topic called psychic masochism. When love and pain are the same, the child can't tell the difference. That's called the libidinalization of pain. That's a quote-unquote major crime. He doesn't want to know it, so he'll be dysfunctional as a rescue station. Confession to a lesser crime to not be aware of this. This setup is called psychic masochism. So he'll be dysfunctional, i.e. pseudo-aggressive, to make him unaware of the deeper thing. The libidinalization of pain, the libidinalization of other hurting him. He's got to associate as pleasurable. He can't tell the difference. Called psychic masochism. So Pat Benatar, in her artistic intuition, just came up with that lyric, right? Love and pain are the same in the eyes of the wounded child. Did I get that right? And she says that in every concert. That's the one song for sure she will sing, and she'll only stop singing it when parents can not repeat onto their children what happened to them. The parents can know themselves first. They won't repeat. Parents repeat because they don't know what happened to them. They repeat in an attempt to know what happened to them. If the parents can know what happened to them, they won't repeat onto the child. So we repeat because we don't remember. If we can remember, we'll stop repeating. I guess I've got about 5 or 10 minutes left of daylight. It quickly gets dark here, yeah. So, okay, that one's coming up. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that's the older one. What's the one? What's 36? Let's see what. 34, 35. What's 36 again? Burglar ones. I posted a lot of quotes already. I've discussed a lot of quotes already in sort of preview mode, but I'll redo them when I get there. What's 36? 37. 36. Okay, 36. Okay, 36. Okay, more on repetition compulsion. Actually, mainly on repetition compulsion. One on PTSD. Oh, one on PTSD. The body stores the memories, thoughts, and emotions of the trauma in order to process them at a later date. The high chemical charge left in the body after trauma continually seeks a discharge. When that discharge does not occur, both the emotional and rational parts of our brains translate this excessive charge into either intense emotions such as shame, rage, etc. That was not too big. Let's take that one out. Okay, so the key point is one key Twilight Zone episode is Howling Man. Howling Man. To this point, it's ranked number 4 in our list of top 10 Twilight Zone. I haven't finished the series yet. It's kind of funny. I feel like I put a pause on it because I want to save it because it's there, right? So I'm gonna go on a side branch and talk about that Beyond show. What's it called again? Beyond, One Step Beyond or something? Next Step Beyond, yeah. About the psychic phenomena. Should I dig that one up, Next Step Beyond, about the police officer guy? One second. He was talking about hypnosis, right? Yeah, okay, never mind. Yeah, okay, never mind. But his point was, it's in the unconscious, how do we get access to it? So the police officer guy had a unique ability to have access to it. And they said these stories are based on documented real cases. So there might be the odd, very sensitive, very traumatized person who has the ability to fuse with someone, merge their psyches, and he picks up what's in their psyche, and he can make a conscious on his end. It's very rare, so-called psychics like that. So this officer was a psychic, obviously, right? In that sense. We'll dig it up again. One second. A second. Okay. Okay, one step. What is it called again? One step. No. Next step. One step. Step beyond. What's it called again? Step beyond. Well, one step beyond. One step beyond, right? One step beyond. One step beyond. Oh, that's not it. Hang on. Oh, wait a minute. What was that show called again, for Pete's sakes? Next step. Next step beyond. Next step beyond. One step beyond. It's called One Step Beyond. One step beyond. No. Hang on. Next step beyond. It is next step beyond. Next step beyond. Next. Okay, step beyond. Do we have a episode list here? Okay. Next step beyond. Other voices, Ghost Town, Portrait, something about drums. Hold on. Woman in the Mirror, is that the one? Legacy, The Haunted Inn. The Confession? Is that the one? What's the one with the... Oh, Portrait of a Mind. This is the one. Yeah, Portrait of a Mind. That's what caught my attention, the title of the thing. Oh, for Pete's sakes. What is it with this phone? It's just so... You barely touch it and the screen changes on you. Okay, hang on. Portrait, is that the one? Portrait of the Mind. It's like,
Beyond.
Yeah, Angela. The job starts Monday.
oh, for Pete's sakes.
The dramatization you're about to see is based on an actual, investigated, and documented case history of psychic phenomena. It is the next step beyond.
Yeah, Angela.
Hey. What about what just happened?
I don't remember anything happening especially. We talked. You told me what really happened.
He's the psychic, this guy.
That's the way it was.
Yeah. Kinda. Friends, they have, first names, right?
Yeah. Chad.
So Chad read his unconscious mind. He was able to read what was in his unconscious. He was able to see what was in his unconscious. You see?
A ballistics test proved the bullet found in the ceiling of the liquor store was from the gun found in the possession of Owen Corso, the man who robbed the liquor store. And the following Monday morning, Frank Mendoza began his new job. The remarkable ability of Officer Chad Cunningham to draw images from the mind of another person is akin to the rapidly growing police use of hypnosis
Akin.
for uncovering forgotten and unrealized information from the minds of witnesses and victims of crimes. The hidden treasures of the psyche grow more and more fascinating as we move ever closer to the next step beyond.
Okay, I missed that. Akin, okay. So what Chad was able to do, read the unconscious of the other person and draw a picture, was akin, he said, akin to, in those days, they tried hypnosis on people to bypass their fear, like that. That's a very traumatized thing. So one theory about Chad would be like he was so abused by his mother, and he was in a the mother wanted a symbiosis, right? The mother wanted a oneness with the child. She was too possessive, too tight or something, didn't allow the child to separate, and wanted the child to read her mind. So the mother wanted the child to understand her. But he's only a little baby like that, flash frozen. He may go through life with that kind of ability. In order to have a mother, I got to read her mind. So he could read people's minds like that, in a sense. Not like directly. He'd get an impression and it would draw it like that. Because in the unconscious, it's visual, it's pre-verbal, right? So in the unconscious, it's imaginal, it's pre-verbal. So he could draw things. He could draw the images of what he sees. So the baby presumably would be seeing all the images in the mother. And the baby's trying to please the mother, placate the mother. Okay, mother, what do you want? You want the oneness? Fine. I'll give you the oneness. Baby needs the oneness. Now, the mother's not supposed to use the baby as a symbiotic object for her. She's supposed to function as a symbiotic object for the baby. But if the mother is turning to the baby to meet her needs, this Chad Cunningham fellow developed this hypersensitivity. He learned it like that. So he's sublimating. He's using this quote-unquote gift, I guess. This strategy, he's using it for his profession like that. So he's channeling in a helpful way, but at his expense. The more he does that, actually, the more he does that kind of thing, the more he's avoiding himself. Right? See? You don't want to keep using strategies you used in babyhood time throughout your life. But some people may decide, well, I get a benefit if I use the strategy. I may get a benefit. I may get some financial reward or status or be seen. So they might get some kind of secondary benefit like that. So he's considered a star police officer like that. But at the cost of, he's got to keep on using that thing. Okay, let's close up. Should we just close it up now here, or choose a song? Next Step Beyond. So the show was called One Step Beyond, and the sequel was Next Step Beyond. So after I finish with the Twilight Zone, I'm definitely going to run through these Step Beyond episodes. I think I ran for 2 years or something. Man, oh man, there really was an appreciation for psychoanalysis in the 50s. There was a comic called Psychoanalysis in 1955, a whole comic series called Psychoanalysis. Excellent. It's the best introduction to psychoanalysis still to this day. 1955. Lost for decades. 5 years ago, Dark Horse Publishing saved it. It's now available. They reissued the complete run in a book, and there's a digital as well. So it ran for, there were only 4 issues for that 1 year. But man, oh man, it's excellent. And they got the Twilight Zone and these Step Beyond shows. And a lot of episodes during that time did have some psychological insights. Even the Gidget show. I posted one from even the comedy Gidget show was about that. And, Judd for the Defense from the 70s, very analytically minded. Judd for the Defense. A few from that Harry's Law show recently. And a sprinkling of analytically minded quotes from a variety of shows throughout. So I think that, oh my goodness, there really could have been in the mental hygiene movement of the 50s, all those films, you know, the mental hygiene films. I posted the top 20 a while ago, the top 20 films. See, if you know yourself, right? See, if you know yourself, you'll move towards ventral. You'll be at peace within like that. But if you don't know yourself, you'll be stressed out. Now, if you're stressed out, enter rock music. Yeah, blow off steam. You're not knowing yourself. So now we're obsessed with all this heavy metal stuff. Oh my God. We probably don't even need that. My guess is maybe if we could have focused more on knowing ourselves, understanding ourselves, finding a way to sit in a circle, finding a way to make I statements, doing grief circles and talking circles, and having as a part of our culture, where pretty much everybody twice a week sits in a circle and does grief work and have a process and call it the directions and the smudging, learn from the indigenous people, and have that kind of process of knowing ourselves, creating a safe space to unpick the threads of our traumatic scripts and then to use those threads to weave a new, healthier script. We'd be more in the ventral. We naturally be in that song. I can see clearly now song. So it wouldn't make sense to be having this raging heavy metal music. What's that for? I don't get it. What's that for? But that was diminished. Hence, more of a regression to the limbic area of the sympathetic and the dorsal, mostly the sympathetic it seems. And there's a huge market, I guess. There's a huge market to get people to blow off steam, either through the shouting and the jumping up and down, or through the numbing out, the alcohol and now the pills area. Jesus Christ, it's kind of sad, right? So knowing yourself would be ventral, right? If you don't know yourself, you're dealing with sympathetic and dorsal. And if the sympathetic's too much, people might induce the dorsal in them, right? If people are in sympathetic mode and they go to nature and they're still all revved up, then they got to take a pill to put them in dorsal, space out. So we kind of failed. We really kind of we were betrayed. The school system kind of betrayed us, and the people who run it, they're trying to say that they were betrayed by their mothers, so they betray us to say that they were betrayed. And no, we've got to analyze this kind of stuff. So bring back the comic psychoanalysis. Bring back shows like The Twilight Zone, okay, The Step Beyond, The One Step Beyond, and The Next Step Beyond. Bring back analytically minded programs like that. Okay, support people like James F. Masterson and Edmund Bergler and so on, analytic authors. Okay, i.e., forget about, you're better off to convert 99.9% of psychology programs and psychology departments and psychology degrees, wash away 99% of that and replace it with an analytic or depth psychology, analytic psychology. Make the unconscious conscious. Study working models, internal working models, schema. Call it schema therapy if you want, whatever. Something that admits that there's such a thing as memories that influence you. There's such a thing as a past that interposes itself in the present to make you aware of the past so you can mourn the past. Something that focuses on how cognitive knowing can set it up for emotional knowing. And when you get the emotional knowing, you'll get back to ventral. Ventral. You see, if you just study pop psychology and behavioral, and you're getting away from the ventral. It keeps you in the sympathetic and the dorsal. We got to get the ventral. So psychoanalysis is all about get back the ventral, because get back your soul, get back your being, get back your body. That's all ventral stuff. We want the ventral nerves. We want the ventral nerves. We want the umbrella open, the ventral nerves. We don't want the umbrella smashed or the umbrella shut. We want a nice open umbrella that protects us and keeps the other parts nice and dry in their place, you know, and the umbrella drives the car. The umbrella can be like a person that drives the car, and the broken umbrella and the closed umbrella can be in the back seat, and the open umbrella can drive the car, and the umbrella can do the steering wheel. Okay, now I'm getting a little silly here. But, you know, play is considered to be a sort of a helpful play. It's considered to be moving towards the ventral there. Well, one last song, or just leave it here? Well, let's see. Should we choose one last song? "100 Tears Away." Okay, yeah, okay. In the Tears, there's a recent quote about that. If you have an emotional crying, in the tears, they discovered cortisol in the tears. That's why you feel better after a good cry, right? It gets the cortisol out. Out of the joy for which you pray, and in the deeper weeping, embodied stuff, the deeper stuff, the deep wailing or mourning, that you realize your good mother died at birth and you were raised by a wicked queen, i.e. a narcissistic mother. Those deeper ones, okay, that gets your beingness back, and then the joy comes back. So that's why she says, all of the joy for which you pray is 100. Some full thing, like a full 100 stands like the complete, like a full proper mourning. All of the joy for which you pray is 100 tears away. When the song ends, I'll just close the video. Thanks very much for the love of narrativizing our story, for the love of the ventral nerve, for the love of ventralizing ourselves, for the love of getting back the ventral, for the love of ventral. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, I'll close it when it shuts out.
Go ahead and cry now. Just give in to the madness. The only way to feel your joy is first to feel sadness. Go ahead and sail now. Just give in to the ocean. The only way to tame your fear is to feel her rocky motion. You're a long way from somewhere you call home. Yeah, there's a place in your heart. You're not alone. All of the happiness you seek, all of the joy for which you pray, is closer than you think. It's just 100 years away. Go ahead and listen. Just give in to the voices. You think you're backed into a corner, but you've got so many choices. You're a long way from someplace you feel safe. Yeah. The peace of mind comes from just one place. All of the happiness you seek, all of the joy for which you pray, is closer than you think. It's just 100 years away. Just 100 years away. And if you want, but you could, it's closer than you think. It's just 100 years away.